can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, hey, welcome to the show. The future for the greatest coach in the NFL is now seriously in doubt. Welcome, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. There are two teams, Perloff, that are currently eliminated from the playoffs already in the NFL. One of them is the Carolina Panthers, who already fired their head coach. And the second one is the New England Patriots, who, according to some new reports coming out of New England, are without a doubt moving on from Bill Belichick.
Yeah, our guy Tom Curran is arguably the best, maybe not the best Patriots information guy, but he's the best Patriots reporter. He's been there forever, knows that team like the back of his hand, makes strong predictions on the team. Said that after Week 10, when the Patriots lost their international game to the Colts, the decision was made, and I believe him. Tom Curran used to come on Dan Patrick Show all the time, really had a strong sense of where the franchise was going. So when he says it, this means something. It really seems like it's done.
Let's hear the audio just so everyone can make their own decision here. Tom Curran says that Robert Kraft decided to move on from Belichick after that Germany game.
When they came out of Germany, conversations I had that week made it very clear that a decision was made and they were going to play out the string, and at the end of the year there would be a parting of the ways.
Okay, so more on why now with Belichick is that he lost too many marquee games.
It had gone too far. The Germany game, the Commanders game, the Saints game. All huge marquee games, and then there was a Chargers game after that. Just because they won last week in Pittsburgh in prime time, I don't think it quells anything.
And even if they went out...
Well, I mean, the New Orleans game was earlier this season. They got shellacked 34-0. That one was in Foxborough. Pardon me, coming off of a loss to Dallas where they had gotten shellacked in Dallas. So New Orleans was weeks and weeks ago, months ago. This has now been more recent over the last 4 games. But here's my thing about this. We can talk about where Belichick should go and how in demand is he going to be. But first on this, was it the losing the marquee games, or is it what the roster looks like now? Like, if you're just saying it's the losing the marquee games, you're not really treating what is like that's a symptom. What the real core issue is that this roster isn't good enough, right?
No, I don't think so. I do agree the roster's terrible, but if he had found a way to pull his Bill Belichick magic like he did 2 years ago with Mac Jones, if they were 9-8 with this team, would have... Yeah, everyone knows the roster is terrible, but the defense is really good, and Belichick has found a way to manage a few wins. I think if they had a few more, I don't think they're as eager as ever. If they were 7-8 right now or 6-10, I think he'd be fine. You really think that it's just the fact that the team clearly has no future, but it hasn't had a future in 3 years. I think it's the embarrassing losing. But regardless, I know you look at the roster like this team's not going anywhere. But if Belichick was 500 right now, you think he would be fired with that same roster?
Okay, but why are they so bad? Like, it's not because when you lose 34-0 or 38-3, that's not because of a couple fourth down decisions here or there. That's because you got your butt kicked. And the reason is because they don't have a quarterback. And they Mac Jones was fine that rookie year with Josh McDaniels. He was fine for a rookie. They made the playoffs. But then he has totally regressed. They have no weapons in terms of wide receiver. Their running back got hurt. Like, it's because there's no talent on offense.
I think this is a weird... That's true. That is very true. But it's also a weird year. They've been a hot mess, disaster on special teams. I mean, that is... The fact that the New England Patriots of all teams is killing themselves with special teams mistakes says to me that Bill Belichick has lost the team. And honestly, there are a couple games, if they had just gotten their act together on special teams, they would have won the game. To me, they were pretty close to sneaking some wins in this horrible, like the Chargers game. Normally they could have won that game, even though they're a terrible team. I think that they've actually been poorly coached this year as well.
Okay, but it's like, okay, so what's worse? Is it the blowouts or is it the close losses or is it both? Because from Tom Curran there saying it started in Germany against Indianapolis, then the Giants, then the Chargers. 1-score loss, 1-score loss, 1-score loss, and then a 1-score win over the Pittsburgh Steelers that we just saw on Thursday night. Obviously, Pittsburgh's playing with their backup. Like, he said New Orleans too. So is it the blowouts? Is it the close losses? Because if they're close losses, you could almost say like, hey, we're right there. I mean, that to me, again, are things that are all solved by roster decisions.
Yeah.
I don't think Bill Belichick all of a sudden is making terrible coaching decisions.
I think you're overthinking it a little bit. I just think it's the record year. Like what? Okay, so what were they last year? In 2021 they were 10-7, made the playoffs. 2022 they were 8-9, missed the playoffs. 2023 they're 3-10.
Yeah, no,
Robert Kraft doesn't have to be a math genius to understand what direction this is going.
I get it. It's just when he says it's the high-profile losses, it's like no, it's the roster. It's the roster. Because to your point, even the defense is still playing well, and they're down two of their best defensive players. It's the embarrassing losses are the symptom. The real disease is the fact that the offense is totally broken. And Belichick, I think they believe he's responsible for that, and he's responsible for Mac Jones's regression, if you will.
Well, yes,
a lack of development. I would say regression.
I totally agree. But I mean, look at they're a number 3 pick right now. Pretty much all the teams in the top 8 of the draft are firing their coaches, right? So yes, the roster is terrible, but if Belichick had figured out a way to be 500 and won a few of these games, he probably would have been able to hang on. We would have been able to see this mediocre Patriots team for a couple of years. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Kraft is saying, listen, we're clearly not headed to the Super Bowl. Who are the players on this team except for Matthew Judon? So maybe that's it. But I feel like I think it's just a result. I think it's a 3-10 record. When your team's 3-10, you fire the coach no matter who it is.
And it's interesting because they're so bad, now they're at the crossroads, right? Because the quarterback is likely going to be there for them for the taking, especially because teams like Tennessee just won or the Giants just won again. So these other teams that might have been threatening for, hey, maybe we could get that, up into the top 2. Well, they're kind of falling on the wayside here. It's really going to be Carolina, it's going to be the Patriots, and it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals, who at least are starting Kyler Murray. So they're going to be there to get one of these top QBs, and it's the crossroads of who do you want to be coaching that person. Yeah. And according to Tom Curran, it's not going to be Belichick. Now, let's spin this forward because he is the most decorated head coach that we have right now in the NFL. He's going to have a landing spot. He's going to find a team.
If he wants it, for sure.
If he wants it. There's no chance that Bill Belichick wants to coach, is going to be out there, pimping himself out from team to team, saying, please, please give me a chance. That's not how this is going to go. In my opinion, he's going to have suitors.
Yeah.
And one in particular.
Well, Bill Belichick is a NFL historian, loves NFL history. Yeah. He should look at Vince Lombardi. Lombardi decided to do 1 year in Washington, and I don't even know if he actually ended up coaching that year. There's no precedent for this last year to work. Dick Vermeil took 20 years off and came back and led the Rams to a Super Bowl, but that was a completely different case. I just don't see how he lands in any spot. All the favorites seem like loser situations to me.
Well, not the Chargers. Now, Belichick has already seen what life is like without a quarterback. It's not pretty. Why he would go to another team that doesn't have a surefire thing at quarterback doesn't make sense. I think Brandon Staley's obviously going to be fired. We got the news yesterday that Justin Herbert's going to be done for the rest of the year. He's getting surgery on his index finger after he got hurt last week. So to me, this is perfect for Belichick. Number one, you've got the quarterback in place, as I just mentioned.
Yep.
Number two, you have veterans on this team who I think would respond well to a Belichick-style butt whipping, if you will, right? It's like you have guys who are trying to make, I think, legacy plays. And I think for Belichick could really get their attention. Like, hey, you follow me, we could do something here. We actually do have talent on the roster. Yes, it's top-heavy, but that doesn't mean that there aren't talented players on this team.
I think this is the most overrated roster in the NFL.
Well, they have problems.
First of all, they're you're taking the oldest coach in the league and you're giving him the oldest roster in the league, minus Justin Herbert. There's so many spots where either they're aging out or they're thin, or I will admit, they do have knucklehead players. But I think we make this mistake with the Chargers if we see the names and we think they're this good. Honestly, Keenan Allen, Khalil Mack, even Joey Bosa, are these guys on the upswing or are they on the downswing?
Well, who's better for a one last dance kind of thing? Not one last dance, but who would be better to get the attention of those players? Not Brandon Staley. That obviously didn't work with this crew.
You don't need a player like Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack doesn't need coaching. They need to stay healthy, and you don't stay healthy when you're a pass rusher who, in Khalil Mack's case, he's in the mid-30s. I mean, this is not the roster that everyone thinks it is, just because they have Pro Bowlers. And Derwin James is a great, great player, but he has an injury history and he makes so many huge mistakes that cost his team. I just don't think this is anywhere near the roster that people describe.
So where do you think Belichick will land?
I looked at the odds today on Bet Online AG. They're bad spots. The Chargers by far the best one, but the number one odds is Panthers. I think that is a really bad idea.
It doesn't. I don't know about that. I'm dubious on Bryce Young.
David Tepper is going to come after him. So that's one spot. I hope Bill Belichick is smart enough to say no. Number 2 is Washington. I don't think that's a great roster either. And I think also Josh Harris has a lot to prove as an owner to me. So I think that has loser written all over it. Then the Chargers, the Bears. I mean, come on, that's not going to work. That does not make any sense to me.
Well, but think about it. The Bears could have the number 1 overall pick. Like you could be pairing Belichick with Caleb Williams or Drake May.
Honestly, if you're going to draft Caleb Williams, Bill Belichick's not the coach for it. You want a young, dynamic, offensive genius to get the most out of Caleb Williams. You don't want Bill Belichick to slow this guy down. I do not like that pairing at all.
No, but what if it's the pairing of Belichick and Josh McDaniels? You have Josh McDaniels who's sitting out there. Listen, McDaniels is a disaster as a head coach. Of course he is. As an offensive coordinator, he's a multiple Super Bowl champion. And you could say, well, obviously he had Tom Brady, so no kidding. But he did get Mac Jones to play a serviceable quarterback that first year. Josh McDaniels isn't the worst idea for developing a young quarterback.
Serviceable. I mean, Mac Jones season, if they did that to Caleb Williams, I think the NFL would demand a refund. Caleb Williams is a next Patrick Mahomes. To make him like Mac Jones and this efficient Josh McDaniels. What is, except for Brady, has Josh McDaniels really led anyone to a MVP type season or like a super high end, very productive quarterback season, 40 touchdowns or anything?
Well, no, but he also just has it. I mean, he has, though, as I said, Mac Jones with the playoffs. I mean, to be fair, Tebow also got to the playoffs.
Yes.
I know it wasn't pretty,
he
guys.
Never, ever threw the ball.
I get it.
It's the exact opposite of what you need. The other two teams, the Raiders, that's a bad idea. That's a very bad idea. And then the last one, the Bucks, that one I like. I do not like the Raiders for him.
Well, but here's the thing. You're talking again about two teams with no quarterback. No disrespect to Aiden O'Connell, but who's going to be the quarterback in Las Vegas? No disrespect to Baker Mayfield, but who's going to be the quarterback in Tampa? I don't know. That's why Chargers. It's such a unique thing. Even if you don't love the roster, okay, nothing's going to be perfect when you're firing a head coach on both sides. But you do have the sure thing with Herbert. Now, I get on Justin Herbert. No, the game-winning drives aren't there. He's got the ball in his hands. Go win the game. Show us you're that dynamic person in crunch time. But let's not fool ourselves. He's unbelievable talent. It's all there. You already gave him the contract. There's no drama here. Belichick with that type of quarterback, I mean...
Yeah.
A new culture, anything.
What about the difference in age right now? Justin Herbert's 25. Assuming you wanted a guy for 10 years to get the best out of Justin Herbert.
Well, would you take 3? I mean, the NFL is not like who gets a coach for 10 years? That's very rare.
Well, look at the great quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes has had this marriage with Andy Reid. Yeah. Your guy Josh Allen's been with Sean McDermott.
Yeah, but Sean McDermott has nothing to do with Josh Allen. Clearly, and we've learned more about that.
Clearly, there
last week.
seems to be a special relationship with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. You go through the good quarterbacks, and generally they have long-term relationships with their coaches. Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll were together for a decade. That's what you want.
Hated each other. I mean,
but they made it. I mean, they won at a huge rate.
No, I get it, but. I mean, I think if you're the Chargers, you're going into this and saying, what can I do for the next 3 years here? And I think that's realistic. And then you can figure out, once you get a little winning under your belt, maybe get a little taste of success, not just all the Chargers being the Chargers and all this failure, then maybe it's a little easier to move on.
Okay, what if I said you can have Belichick, well, you guarantee the dude can coach. There's no doubt about that. Or you could take a risk on the hot offensive coordinator, the Sean McVay of this draft, of this year's offseason.
Sure, but that's someone who's never been a head coach. So just like Brandon Staley was never a head coach. He was a defensive guy, but still.
Yeah.
And how's that working out?
Well, yeah, I think a Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. If I own the Chargers, I might be tempted by who's the next Sean McVay, who's the next Kyle Shanahan, who is going to really innovate and make this the best team it can. Belichick, he's going to be a solid winner from the start, But I don't know, where's the growth there? Are you so excited about the Chargers' next 10 years if Bill Belichick's coach?
Well, again, I don't think he's going to be there 10 years because he's 72. So I don't know if he's going to be coaching till is in his 80s. But I at least give my team an identity, don't I? And here's the thing about the next Sean McVay and the next Kyle Shanahan. Sometimes you can find yourself square, like, you're seeing something that's not there with a guy because you're so focused on finding the next offensive dude that you're willing to overlook, like, is this guy a good leader? Do we know that he can get the team's attention? Can he motivate? Is he going to have all of his ducks in a row? Like, I don't know. You know that with Belichick.
It just feels like Emmitt Smith's last year with the Cardinals or, Joe Montana ending with the Chiefs was okay. But you know how those guys tag on one awful year at the very end of their career? Joe Namath ended his career with the Rams. OJ was a Niner, all that stuff. Jerry Rice was a Seahawk. I just think that it's going to be that version of Bill Belichick. Remember that one year he was with the Chargers? I don't see him doing a Tom Brady and going to Tampa Bay and winning a Super Bowl.
I think it could be there if he's with the Chargers. If he's with Justin Herbert, I could see it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. These are some good questions we have online for us. You guys are up early today. Love it. Got a lot to get to. It's Wednesday, which means Great Debate Series happens today, inspired by the week's news. We'll get to all that and so much more. But we kick it off with Belichick. Can he win another Super Bowl? Can he win in a new spot? And we'll take your suggestions for where he should go. I'm going to be honest, this guy on hold right now, who I want to get to right after the quick timeout, I have never heard this team before linked to Belichick.
First time I've taken a call where they pushed Belichick to this location.
My mind's blown because I don't hate it. Get to that. 855-212-4CBS, Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back here on Maggie and Perloff. You know what I would love to witness more than anything?
What's up?
I would love to see an owner sit down and interview Bill Belichick. If he's there's a report from Boston from Tom Curran, longtime Patriots reporter, that the Patriots are done with Bill Belichick and they're going to move on. Can you imagine Bill Belichick walking in the office? So tell me, what's your resume? What have,
Tell
what
me
have
a
you
little
done?
about yourself.
On to Carolina.
Well, what do you say? It's like, what would you say your strengths and weaknesses are? I don't think that's a traditional job interview. I remember once interviewing Wade Phillips, who said that he got a job interview once and he was so insulted that they asked him to go up on the board and like start drawing defenses and stuff that he was like, I'm not taking this job.
That's like actors. If you're a big enough actor, you're not asked to audition. And when you are asked to audition, it's a huge insult.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
This
I
would
don't
be
think
the same.
I don't think Belichick's going to have to pour over his resume with the owner of the Panthers. I think he's good.
Your 10-point plan on how to improve us. We've been asking you, though, about future of Belichick. Now looks like the writing's on the wall in New England. Thought that for a while, but this seems a bit more definitive. I think he's going to have suitors, maybe not lined up, but he's going to have multiple options, and I believe it's going to start with the Chargers. Perloff is not so convinced, but Tim in Arizona. Tim, I got to say, I have not heard this yet about a possible Belichick landing spot. What do you have for us, and good morning?
Well, being a long-suffering 64-year fan of my Green Bay Packers, I sure as hell would love to have him come and teach them how to play defense. After that debacle Monday night with the Giants, we have not had a decent defense since the 96 team, Favre's first Super Bowl season, but I haven't seen any good defense since 1967. I'm still not sold on Jordan Love, but with the right training and a good offensive person and quarterbacks coach, maybe he can develop into something. And then when you guys mentioned the age problem, well, the way I look at it, George Halas was coaching into his 80s, so why not have Bill Belichick as our coach, and he's, 27, 28 victories away from being the all-time winningest coach? Why not celebrate that with the Green Bay Packers? And
I'll tell you what, Tim,
you guys have a nice, happy holidays, okay?
Oh, well,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Same to you. It's inspired. Now, couple things. You're not allowed to call yourself a long-suffering quarterback when you've gone from Favre to Rodgers. You've seen Super Bowls. I know maybe not as many as you hope, but long suffering is reserved for other fan bases.
He does have a point, though. No team, I think, in the history of the NFL has converted more defensive first-round picks into a less clutch defense than the Green Bay Packers. I mean, first round pick, and then wait till the NFC title game and torch City.
Well, here's the other thing, though. Like, we kind of glossed it a little yesterday. We talked plenty about the Packers. We talked about Jordan Love not performing great against the New York Giants, but Tommy Cutlets took so much of the oxygen from that game. That was an alarming loss for Green Bay because it was the Giants. Like, you should be able to come in and beat them handily if you think you're a playoff team.
Maybe, but still, it was a cold night. It's windy. The Giants were at home. Listen, we were ripping Jordan Love, and I heard Aaron Rodgers' interview yesterday on McAfee. He brought up a great point. He's like, Jordan Love led the game-winning drive.
He did.
And it was a great pass to the end zone. It was a great catch that gave the Packers the lead. The defense let them down against an undrafted rookie now. Is he a rookie?
He's a rookie.
Yeah, so Rodgers don't blame Jordan Love for that loss. He actually played well when it counted.
Yeah, I get that, but they should have been ahead by 3 scores. You know, it's the Giants. Like,
I don't know.
That could be alarming if you're.
Well, you're seeing the bones.
Fan.
I think you're seeing the bones of the Giants team that was 9-7 last year. I don't think they're really a bottom feeder team.
Maybe not. Well, we just had a call that just dropped there. They was going to ask about Jim Harbaugh and would he be option for the Chargers? Was that the call?
Well, no. The question is about Jim Harbaugh and the Raiders, and where if that's an option, given how bad the Raiders have been. 0 points scored against the Vikings, somehow giving up only 3 points and losing at home.
I think the Raiders' problem is higher up. It's hard for me to imagine that ownership group hiring anybody and making everything work together. It feels like they've had great players come through there, but it's organizational dysfunction.
And I wonder, does Harbaugh makes that better or worse? Like, I think better. Like, Harbaugh, there's times this year, especially when he's become a bit of a punchline. Obviously, the whole Connor Stallions thing, we've made fun of it for weeks. But, I mean, the guy can coach in the NFL. And
I don't know.
He can be a culture setter.
Harbaugh to the Raiders feels like John Gruden part 2. In the sense that just a bigger-than-life personality has not been able to come in and fix it. I mean, there's no bigger coaching personality than John Gruden, and it was okay, but they made so many personnel mistakes, and I doubt they were very disciplined based on what we know about the team. Don't you feel like Harbaugh is going to come in there and he's going to make a lot of noise, but at the end of the day, are they really going to have a tight ship?
Well, I don't know. Maybe with a new young quarterback, would they have a tighter ship with Jim Harbaugh?
I mean, obviously, we're talking about the Chargers. Don't you think Jim Harbaugh, if he had a choice between the Chargers and the Raiders, would immediately go to the Chargers?
Yeah, and didn't we just have some reporting on this? Was this a Peter King? He said he just saw Jim Harbaugh, and he kind of went out of his way to talk up Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Did we just hear this? Was it Peter King?
That does sound familiar.
Else? Now we'll look for that. Andrew Bogusch is here. Headlines galore. Everyone's getting angsty in the NBA.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. Okay. It's all sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. We have definitely done this before. Draymond Green choosing violence in an NBA game.
Oh man. Well, that's going to be a flagrant. Yeah. And now they're going to just try to decide if they think it was excessive. It's going to be at least a flagrant 1, could be a 2.
Do they have flagrant 3s or 4s? That was
creative.
That was Stan Van Gundy, Brian Anderson watching the replay on TNT. Draymond Green, Yusuf Nurkic were jostling for position in the corner on an inbounds play, and Green ends up with a swinging, crushing forearm to the side of Nurkic's face. He got a flagrant 2, the max, and was ejected again. I guess this is as far away from protecting Green as Steve Kerr can get.
We need him. We need Draymond, but he knows that. We talked to him, and he's got to find a way to keep his poise and be out there for his teammates.
What year was that recorded? Was that recent, or was that 5 years ago, or was that 8 years ago?
I think that's Steve Kerr in Draymond's basement being held against his own will again to try and sugarcoat this. We're going to hear from Draymond and Nurkic later, but this was nasty. It was unnecessary. It was not part of any kind of normal basketball move. It was unprompted. And Draymond, again, doesn't even come close to taking responsibility for it.
No, I mean, the announcers are reacting like Chris Tucker and Ice Cube and Friday. Like, whoa! I mean, it was a meme. And here's the thing, right? Like, this is what's going to push Kerr out the door. I said Last Dance vibes. I thought maybe it'd be the last dance of the win. I think it's just going to be the last. It's like the last hurrah here because he sounds pretty, like you can tell by the sound of his voice. He's got to be so fed up with this, especially because they just paid him again.
I mean, and I don't know, people are getting very upset about this and suggesting many punishments for Kerr, for the team, for Draymond. I mean, it's bad because this is like a danger thing. He choked Rudy Gobert and wouldn't let go. Yeah. And then last night, for no reason, does a spinning full-strength clothesline to another player. I mean, like it's almost to the point where he shouldn't be allowed to be on the court for a while.
Well, it's probably going to be 5 games like last
It's got to be double digits.
I feel it has to be more.
The press told me that was a headlock that Draymond
No, he choked him.
I am well aware of that, but for some reason the headline said headlock.
Like a noogie, like he was younger brother.
It reminded me of the Tua back injury. He clearly tried to strangle a man on the court, and NBA doesn't seem to care.
It's almost going to take a serious injury, something that happened, which is tough to say. And I don't want that to happen. But because these guys keep getting back up and like Gobert was fine, Nurkic was fine, then the NBA, I think, kind of doesn't feel the pressure. But all it takes is one of these guys, similar to hockey, when you have a guy get hit and then there's a serious injury. What happens is that guy is suspended for as long as that guy is injured. I don't want that to happen in the NBA, but it almost feels like that's what they're waiting for with Draymond. Because
that's nice and reactionary,
as
opposed to being proactive. Because we know that Draymond has been doing this for years. I mean, it's amazing that a professional athlete can have complete control of his body, and then all of a sudden, just wildly start putting his limbs around and just like, my bad. It's like, no, you have control over what you're doing.
Well, it's like the Grayson Allen tripping thing, though. I don't think Draymond can help it. I think it's compulsive. And the other thing, it's so funny about Draymond, he's going to be this great broadcaster immediately as soon as he hangs him up, and he's totally under control on the mic. More so, remember we interviewed him?
Yep.
That guy has complete control of every interview he's in. He has no control on the court. But is this as interesting? If the Warriors were any good with this, I feel like it's almost like this is going to happen. Draymond's just going to fizzle out here.
Well, I think
it's not going to matter.
This is what makes it pathetic and sad. Is because you could always say, well, Draymond needs to play with this kind of edge because it helps the Warriors and it helps them win. And that may have been true in years past. But now they're just sort of looking old and not interested. And Draymond's still pulling this BS. It's sad.
And not that talented, to be honest. Look at their roster.
I mean, 10 and 13
Perloff was,
right now.
I hate to give him W's, but I give him a W on the Denver Golden State comparison. I mean, they don't have talent. Their whole starting lineup, only Steph Curry last night, double figures.
Yeah, it feels like Curry or bust for them, and he's getting older too. Now that you mentioned, is this Steve Kerr's last year? Is there any chance Steph Curry wins another title? He's 35. Is it over for him?
I mean, with this roster
and Draymond's going to be suspended for any significant game, it seems like.
I mean, let's think about it. The general manager already left, right?
Smartly.
And who is it? The owner's son? That's always a great recipe for success.
Yeah. What can go wrong?
Yeah, right. I've seen this one before.
There was a full game in this one as well last night. The Suns won it 119-116 in Phoenix. Devin Booker scored 32 with 7 assists. Bradley Beal had 16 in his newest return from his back troubles. The Clippers stayed hot, 119-99 over the Kings. That's 5 in a row for L.A. Kawhi Leonard scored 31, giving him 106 over his last 3 games.
Wait.
It's like magic that he can just play every night now and be great.
Don't tell me James Harden is good right now.
15 points and 7 assists last night.
Is that good?
He's motivated.
15 points for James Harden. Is that good though? It feels like
they won.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. By 20.
And Kawhi at 31. How many did he assist on those?
Now talking about eking out life at the end of your career. Kawhi, I saw Kawhi live when EJ wouldn't go to me with the Clippers next game. That dude is on his last legs. But
he
maybe
plays
I'm wrong.
every night now.
He is. Yeah, he's getting old.
While scoring 30 a night in the NBA. The Celtics dropped the Cavs 120-113, improving to 11-0 at home. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Each scored 25. NBC has removed Al Michaels from the In the Hunt portion of their playoff picture graphic. The 79-year-old legendary broadcaster will not work the postseason for NBC like last January when he and Tony Dungy had Jaguars-Chargers. Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge are the B team this time around instead.
I just made a nepotism joke 5 seconds ago with the Warriors and the son now taking the son of the owner. I get that it's nepotism because Ian Eagle's son is Noah Eagle, but Noah's really good.
Yes.
This is like a Joe Buck, Jack Buck situation. Like, this is not Chris Collinsworth, Jack Collinsworth. No disrespect, but like Jack.
It's pretty close.
Seems disrespectful.
Definitely was disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Okay.
It might be valid as well.
Listen,
Also
I'm sure
valid.
Jack probably was going to have a nice long career and he can develop into a great broadcaster, I'm sure. But right now, Noah Eagle at 26 is like a savant. He's just really good at this.
Well, it's funny. I saw the headline, NBC replaces Al Michaels with Nepo Baby. I'm like, wow, Jack Collinsworth is going to be doing this thing. He's NBC too, right? I didn't know it was Noah Eagle. Yeah, I agree with you. I have no problem with him doing that. But doesn't he do all the Nickelodeon games? And aren't they expanding Nickelodeon to doing most of the postseason?
They're doing the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So he gets the Super Bowl.
He gets the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
With who, Nate?
And the
It's
Nickelodeon
Nate.
kids.
Yeah, Nate and some young Nickelodeon star. I'm a huge fan of the Nickelodeon broadcast, by the way. Well done.
It's a solid broadcast.
Yeah,
I'm not
because
going to lie.
Nate explains the rules to kids and to most of us as well. He's like, this is what a
Breaking it
legal
down.
procedure is. And I'm sitting there taking notes on the Nickelodeon.
We need a
game.
Nickelodeon for the Kadarius Tony offsides.
Yeah,
Maybe
right.
we wouldn't
100%.
have all
No.
this controversy.
We need Nickelodeon actually for Shohei's contract. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Explain it to me like I'm home after school eating pizza rolls and watching Nickelodeon.
But usually I had Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob just jumping in pots of gold.
But there
if
are
that was
times,
the
by the
case.
way, Noah Eagle asked Nate a rule, and even Nate's like, well, I'm not
I'm gonna slime you.
100%. And all the pre-snap stuff is so complicated right now, and Nate's amazing.
It'd be funny if Gene Steratore gets slimed. Like,
Yeah.
we bring in Gene.
John Perry.
But anyway, the other part of this is that, listen, Al Michaels is like the soundtrack. I know, not to make him sound old, is he 80?
79.
79. He is the soundtrack of most of our lives, or at least one of the soundtracks for the NFL. But, to be honest, like I think maybe the Thursday night games have kind of worn him down. Not that he can't deliver in a big game, but
He can deliver a big moment, but
Definitely.
from start to finish, he's starting to sound his age.
right. But it's like, is it the game or is it the broadcast?
Or
Let's be real though. Last year he got a big game. He had Jaguars Chargers, and it was a historic comeback. And he made it sound like it was Week 6 in the NFL season.
People
To be
hated
fair, he's
Super
doing it
Bowl
with Tony
calls flat.
Dungy, who is basically in a coma when it comes to broadcast.
Yeah, that didn't help. Yeah.
I mean, Tony's amazing Hall of Famer, but
Tony's good on that pregame show.
That's great for him.
Because he has no filter whatsoever and will say really honest things. But the thing about, I think Al's problem is Herbstreit. Herbstreit should not be doing NFL.
That's another. He's not confident.
I think Herbstreit's the best college broadcaster,
good.
maybe the best color guy of all time in college football, but he has no confidence in NFL.
It's weird.
You can hear him say, I covered that guy at University of Washington in 2017. He's almost embarrassed by it.
Well, I would say just give us more of that for Herbstreit. Like, I'll take the college lens for a lot of these guys. It's not a terrible thing, but you can just tell. You can just tell that he is different on a college broadcast than he is on the NFL. It's night and day.
So I think that if you put Al and Chris Collinsworth together, I think you'd get the same old product.
I know, but Collinsworth's with Tirico.
Yeah.
But they were together, and NBC was okay with Michaels leaving Sunday night, right?
Right. But he's now in an emeritus role. Apparently, he's getting paid $1 million a game from Amazon.
Well, that was the stat. I forget which game it was. He was making more than the quarterback in the game.
Brock Purdy.
That's what it was. It was the Niners game. Right. He was getting paid more for that game
the
than Brock
MVP.
Purdy. Yeah.
Maybe.
The Vikings will start Nick Mullins, speaking of quarterbacks, Saturday against the Bengals after he produced their only point, all three of them, in Sunday's 3-0 win in Vegas. Mullins will be their fourth starting QB in 7 games. Justin Jefferson, by the way, at practice yesterday after that heavy hit and internal injury check on Sunday. Down in Florida, where you can't be a snowflake and or woke, Attorney General said yesterday the state's antitrust department will investigate the CFP committee for leaving FSU out of the semifinals, because that's not a waste of time. The San Francisco Giants are reportedly signing South Korean outfielder Young-Hoo Lee to a 6-year deal worth $113 million. Lee, a .340 career hitter, was the KBO MVP 2 seasons ago. And the St. Louis Blues fired head coach Craig Berube after last night's 6-4 home loss to Detroit. They've dropped 4 in a row. They're 1 game under .500 for the season. They won the Cup 4 years ago with Berube behind the bench.
That's one hockey player I know. Craig Berube.
Yeah, tough guy.
Tough guy. He
Good
was
head
a
coach.
madman for the Flyers. I can't believe he's a head coach. So they fired
They
him.
won the Cup.
Yeah, and was a coach, relatively speaking, for a long time, 5+ years.
And they had the great theme song on their Cup run. Gloria.
Yeah.
It's a great
nice.
song.
Can I hit
Maybe
you guys,
the perfect pop song.
Can I hit you guys with a nearly impossible trivia question before you leave, Bogus? So Nick Mullins, as you all know, is the all-time leading passer at Southern Mississippi.
Yep.
Brett Favre is 3rd. If anyone here can name...
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
We'll do it on the other side of the break.
This is not worth the other side of the
It
break.
definitely is.
It's 1,000% not. But
Hold that thought.
is that nobody Google? If anybody
Nobody
gets it, I'll buy
Google.
them breakfast. If we can prove with a forensic expert they didn't Google.
Well, a lot of people are in their cars, so please don't Google if you're in your car. Hands at 10 and 2. We're all thinking about this together.
Oh my God, this
Nick
is
Mullins is
so not going to meet the hype.
leading passer at Southern Miss,
All-time Southern Miss Golden Eagle leading passer Nick Mullins.
and Favre is 3.
Yeah.
Who's 2? The answer when we return. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff straight ahead.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Morning show here on CBS Sports Radio. We left you with a cliffhanger.
Oh, my God.
In the last segment. Perloff had a trivia question for everybody. No Googling. Do you want to set it back up for a new audience?
No, not really, because you're all going to say, why did we wait a break to reveal this? Okay, Nick Mullins, all-time Southern Miss leading passer in passing yards. Number 3 is Brett Favre. I think Mullins, no, actually, this other guy broke all of Favre's records. Can you name who the number 2 all-time Southern Miss passing record is? And I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
He was the Jake Browning of 2014. In the sense that he was a backup quarterback who came out of nowhere and won some games and everyone got excited about. Then they got tape on him and destroyed him.
In 2014.
There's no way. With the St. Louis Rams.
There was a Jake Browning of the St. Louis Rams?
The fact that he came out and he
right.
won a bunch of games. There's no way. I mean.
Anyone got a guess here?
I'm stumped.
No, there's no way you guys are going to know this.
Now I feel like I should know it,
when you mentioned the Rams, now I'm annoyed. First, I was going to take this L with pride. Now I'm annoyed.
I mean, 2014 now was a long time ago.
Yeah, John Walford was too new, right?
This guy has John Walford vibes, but yeah, it's too new. Where did John Walford go to college? He went somewhere noteworthy. Anyway, I'm just going to tell you, it's Austin Davis. Remember plucky little Austin Davis?
Austin Davis.
Definitely when they got that one.
Yeah. Austin Davis, one of the most prolific college football quarterbacks in recent memory. Had a huge year under Larry Fedora at Southern Miss a long time ago. And I only know this because I think I met him at a Super Bowl. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that guy was on fire in college. Anyway, and he broke Brett Favre's records. This is...
That was
interesting
totally
if you
worth
live.
it.
No, it wasn't. If you live in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, it's interesting.
Well, if you live in Hattiesburg, you probably knew the story. You knew the answer, rather, and you were probably yelling at the radio. Let's get to Aaron Rodgers.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Okay, now this is why this segment was created. Because we were never sure what was going to come out of Aaron Rodgers' mouth. Then it got into a lot of football stuff that got a little predictable. We're talking about his Achilles, all right, now we're back to the good nitty-gritty stuff with Aaron Rodgers. So we spoke yesterday about Peyton Manning and Eli Manning mentioning on the Manning cast that they would be able to tell their center's tush even if they were blindfolded just by taking a snap. That's how well Eli knew Sean O'Hara, and that's how well Peyton knew Jeff Saturday. Blindfolded, they could tell who's who. So got to and I thought this should now be something they do at the Pro Bowl. Like blindfolded, can you tell who your center is? You guys didn't seem to love that idea. Meanwhile, Derek Carr got into it with his center, Eric McCoy, last week in a win over Carolina. And McAfee asked Aaron Rodgers, he brought it up, and Rodgers had a question.
Derek Carr almost got beat up by his center this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
On the field. Yeah, on the field.
Bad.
Yeah. It was intense. But that was...
Did he fart on his hand or something? What happened?
Probably. Like that's... Did he fart on his hand? Like that's so common. So it turns out that Corey Linsley, who was Rodgers' center for a long time, was a bit of a prankster.
He would just fire the ball back at you in the walkthrough like 100 miles an hour and try and drill you in the nuts or do some crazy things. Like he'd be after a walkthrough and one day he'd show up and wouldn't have any underwear on. And I'm like, come on, bro. Put some friggin' drawers on. What are you doing, man?
So what is Aaron Rodgers up to? Reminiscing about the relationship with his former center.
Feels like anyone noticing Maggie has a bit of an obsession with this men butt cheek story in the NFL?
No, it's not that. It's just, I think, first of all, farting on someone's hand, I didn't even know you could feel that.
Oh, yeah, you feel the air pressure.
Yes.
It's like an avatar seeing the air.
You know this from experience?
No,
You quarterback?
you don't think that there's air pressure that comes out when you
No,
fart?
I don't. I'm not.
Yeah, it's simple physics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
guess
no,
so.
Maggie knows that.
I don't know. There's some things about, I work with all men. I have for a long time. And yet there's still things about you guys that I just will never understand.
Oh, we don't understand ourselves. It's all good.
Like this kind of stuff just seems so incredibly foreign to me. And so I'm just kind of surprised when everyone's like, yeah, of course.
Wait, but
you farted on your hand?
Yeah, women fart though too, right?
We do, but not in this situation where we'd be like kind of farting on each other.
Oh, that's very common.
Wait, so you guys didn't spend hours in college lighting your own farts and impressing your friends? That's kind of freshman year.
No, it's not Dumb and
What
Dumber.
else are you going to do? No.
What are we going to do? We're going to go shopping.
There was one guy, oh my God, he was like a flamethrower. It was amazing, too.
Wait, so,
that's an Ivy League institution for you folks.
So when Rodgers says that Lindsay will walk around with no underwear on the walkthrough, is he saying that he had no pants on either?
I think he probably had pants on.
You got a better feel of the undercarriage than you probably would have wanted.
Like there's nothing between him and me but a thin layer of cotton.
Yeah, there's
that has to be an NFL code of conduct violation to walk around.
Meanwhile, Lindsley's going to get suspended for 5 years now because of what Rodgers said.
Goodell's going to retroactively hit him with a
out of the
ban.
league.
A little more jiggling than you really want on a snap.
You're supposed to be still.
It's one way to handle balls.
Yeah. Ugh.
I tell you, that's why every quarterbacks want to go shotgun now. They want no more of this.
Shotgun like from 10 yards back.
You're not seeing the kids coming out of college going under center. They have no interest.
Listen,
Kyler Murray's not getting under there.
As you said, it's a fear of intimacy. That's what's killing the NFL right now because everyone's in shotgun on 3rd and 2 inches.
Or it could be that all the quarterbacks are shorter now and they need to see the field better from 5 yards back. Or it could be just a fear of intimacy.
Maybe that's fine. So what's Aaron Rodgers up to? We're back to the good stuff, guys. We've got more silly things that he said. We'll have to play that a little bit later on in the show because we did want to take a second to mention now what we are doing between now and the end of the year. This is something that Perloff and I and EJ and Carlos and our boss, Spike Eskin, we all feel very strongly about this, and it's about giving back. So what we are asking is something very small. You hit subscribe on our YouTube or Twitch channel, and we donate $1 for every new subscriber to the Boys and Girls Club. So we have this earmarked for youth sports. We've developed a relationship with the Boys and Girls Club because of our Carson Wentz poster destruction, which for our new audience, we'll describe in more detail later. It's a great. You just hit subscribe, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. We do the rest. We make the donation. We do it in the name of the Maggie and Perloff Show, and it helps kids who want to be involved in sports but maybe don't have the means. This helps them try to get closer to their dreams. So that's all we ask. youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. 1 for 1 here. 1 subscriber, $1, and we get something cool done over the holidays. Okay, lots more to do, including shots fired from one future Hall of Fame quarterback. Does he have a point? Get to that in a minute. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You would have thought that about us, but it's true. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Gamer Central around here. Okay, speaking of games, though, this has become a hot button issue in the NFL, and it's all spurred on by Brock Purdy's MVP candidacy, right? Which is, what is the true meaning of an MVP? We talk about this sometimes in other sports, but in the NFL, where this award now has become such a quarterback award, it's like, is the quarterback really the most valuable person, or are they the quote-unquote game manager?
Yeah.
And now this is being taken to the next level because Cam Newton has offered some commentary on it. And, you know, Cam is now part of the media and trying to get his broadcasting career going. And, you know, is being, I think, pretty candid about what he thinks about the state of quarterbacks right now. So here is Cam saying Brock Purdy and others are game managers, and we were surprised by one name that he included in this list.
But Brock, they're not winning because of him.
He's not turning the ball over.
He's managing the game. And if we were to put that in its own right as game managers, Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, and really, Dak Prescott. These are game managers. They're not difference makers.
So I think a little surprising there that Dak Prescott was put in the game manager category simply because, A, he's having a really great season, and B, when you think of game manager, I think you think of someone who is really overcoming maybe like a lack of talent or something, or just trying to not lose the game for you as opposed to win the game. And I think Dak Prescott's being asked to win games for the Dallas Cowboys.
I think this is a case of amnesia because coming into the season, everyone was saying, oh, the team around Dak Prescott is so good. He's got to elevate his game to take advantage. Everyone's like, the Cowboys are set up for success as long as Dak can play well. So it was like Dak had to take advantage of all this talent around him. That was always the narrative with him. And last year, he screwed it up by throwing too many picks. And I think people thought that Dak did not game manage and therefore cost the Cowboys. I get, if you think of Cam Newton as the opposite of a game manager, so athletic, cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott has none of that. He never runs anymore. He ran a little bit earlier in his career.
He's dangerous when he runs, though. He has the ability to do it. I think he just got hurt and doesn't want to do that anymore.
He can run a little bit, but I mean, he's not among the top 15 runners, I would imagine, a quarterback. The other thing, too, is he doesn't have a cannon like Cam Newton. He's not an overly physically talented guy. I've never thought of Dak like that. That's why he was a fourth-round pick. I think he's very similar to Jared Goff. The two have always kind of reminded me of each other. Dak's probably a little better, but I got that analogy immediately.
Well, clearly it doesn't matter where you're drafted because Jared Goff was the number 1 overall pick and Dak was a 4th-round pick, and Purdy is a 7th-round pick, so that part doesn't matter. But so Cam does explain the difference he thinks between a game manager and a game changer. Here he is.
And when you say game manager, I'm not asking you to go out and win the game. I'm just asking you not to lose.
Not to lose the game. Listen, I don't give a damn what you do. You don't have to score every time. You just don't have to throw a pick every time either. If we're going to really call a spade, a game manager is different than a game changer.
Yeah, and I think he's spot on here, quite frankly. I do think that is the definition of the game manager, the guy who you're saying, listen, you've got a lot of talent around you.
Yep.
Play more point guard. Don't screw it up, most importantly, and set up your players in the best way they can shine. I think the game changer is the guy who, yes, can have some good weapons like Mahomes as Kelsey, Josh Allen as Stephon Diggs, but you are asking them at times to overcome deficiencies for the rest of the team and put the team on their back and go win a game.
Yeah, I mean, if Dak Prescott has to be the game changer in Cam's term, then the Cowboys are going home in the playoffs. That's just the way it is.
Maybe that's why they have been going home. The ball's been in Dak's hands for the last 2 years with the game on the line against San Francisco, and they've lost.
If you ask Dak to get way off platform and the whole offense breaks down, he is not Lamar Jackson. They're going to lose that game. I just think that's the way it is.
I don't see Dak as a game manager, especially not this year. Maybe you want to go back through his career a little bit.
Well, he's actually had years where he's flinged it around even more. I don't think he's any different. Again, this whole idea that Dak's a different quarterback also doesn't make sense to me. He's had these stats before. The guy's always been an efficient passer, but he's always had this Cowboys team around him. And I think that people said, well, he's part of a great team. This year, it seems like the narrative has changed because I think everyone lowered the bar so much for him. They're shocked that he's good. But I think that's a memory loss thing. He's always been good. But he's not Lamar Jackson or Cam Newton or even Jalen Hurts, who's running around and making plays single-handedly.
Well,
he's part of a team concept.
He's also being paid like one of those top guys and is about to get a new contract extension, at least so says Jerry Jones. Now, here's the thing about Dak and his weapons. Like, CeeDee Lamb, amazing, right? But we should probably talk about him more as like a top 5 receiver in the league, and I don't think we do because we talk about Justin Jefferson, we talk about Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. Like, we should put CeeDee Lamb in that top 5. Brandon Cooks, journeyman, can be effective, but journeyman. Michael Gallup, rumor. Kevontae Turpin, nice little gadget guy, and then Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle, he doesn't have this. This is not Brock Purdy's roster here. Right. We're talking about offense.
But through the years, though, he's always had this talent around him. And don't you remember people have said, oh, Dak's got this great,
I'm talking about now.
Yeah, but even now, he's really running the offense really well. And he's managing games, and he's not turning the ball over. I think he's doing all the smart game. See, I don't take game management as a game manager is such a negative for me. And I do understand what he's saying. I watched Lamar Jackson play. He goes back and he holds on to the ball for about 14 seconds and waits till he makes a play. If Dak does that, the Cowboys are going to get in big trouble. So I feel like he fits closer to the people we were describing than Lamar Jackson.
Well, I guess maybe maybe it's the money aspect of it that's the disconnect for me, because I don't know why I need $45 million for a game manager.
Because it's not easy to manage a game. It's not easy to distribute the ball like that. And Brock Purdy is... Brock Purdy, I agree, is a game manager.
He's not making $45 million. He's making $700,000, so they're getting the steal.
He will be, and I think he's done an amazing job. I think he's a game manager, and I would easily vote for him for MVP. Wouldn't think twice.
But we just saw, though, when it was Deebo Samuel out of the lineup and it was Trent Williams out of the lineup, they lost 3 in a row. And to me, that shows you and shines the spotlight that he's not the MVP. We just watched the Miami Dolphins lose a heartbreaking game to the Tennessee Titans where they were ahead by 14 points with 3 minutes to go. When Tyreek Hill was in and out of the lineup, Tua looked different. And we both said Tua's MVP candidacy definitely took a hit on Monday night. Why would the same thing happen for Brock Purdy?
I see your argument, but to me, Purdy he's helping these guys so much. If you took Purdy out of that, if you put Jimmy G in there, I feel like these weapons would go down significantly.
But Jimmy G is always good for a turnover. That's where Purdy hasn't beat. Jimmy, you were always expecting him to take bad sacks and turnovers.
And also, this 3-game losing streak was a bit wonky. I mean, they lost because they missed a field goal against Cleveland, who's the best defense in the league, arguably. Mm-hmm. And Purdy still played pretty well in that game, and it was pouring rain. And then they lost to Brian Flores, just dominated the Niners. I'll give you that. And then I don't remember what the other loss was, but I do remember Purdy did not play as terribly as everyone was saying in those games. The guy has a really accurate short ball. He kind of reminds me, I hate to say the same, but he's got a little Joe Montana in him. He's helping all these guys get all this yak. I think he deserves a lot of credit for that.
And I think lost to Cincinnati was the third loss.
Right. I just don't think game manager is this awful. Will you admit that there's Dak Prescott? Who is he closer to, Brock Purdy or Lamar Jackson?
Well, Brock, because he doesn't run. Not that Lamar's running tons and tons this year, and I think that's been better for it definitely has been better for the Ravens. They're probably the best team in the AFC.
I think he's running more than any other quarterback, isn't he?
No, he seems to be hanging in the pocket a lot more to me. I'll excuse a rain game when the weather has been awful in Baltimore, and it feels like the weather's been awful in Baltimore every time they have a home game.
Anyway, my point is that he is definitely a game manager in a good sense. He is managing games really well, much better than last year. He's keeping the ball really safe.
Here's a question. When you heard that clip from Cam Newton, did you think Cam was using that as a compliment?
No, but I think Cam was seeing it as a view of I'm this kind of quarterback, and Dak Prescott is nothing like me. That's what I think he was saying. Game manager is the opposite of me, and I was dynamic. I was making plays off platform. Right. Dak is not doing that.
Don't you guys, though, feel like, for me, when I heard this, when I think of game manager, I think of a coach having to coach around your deficiencies in order for us to succeed. So I think of Trent Dilfer. I think of Jimmy Garoppolo. I think of Russell Wilson, who we're seeing right now in Denver, where clearly that's not a team that's trying to throw the ball down the field and push up a lot of points. It's hard for me to see a guy like Dak Prescott who's going to throw for 4,000, almost 4,500 yards. He's going to throw for maybe 40 touchdowns and say that that's a game manager. Like, to me, a game manager is someone who basically you're saying if the circumstances were a lot worse, we'd have no chance to win. And as we've seen, Dak Prescott can take worse teams to the playoffs than he has this year.
He's
done it before.
You think if things fall apart in Dallas, you think Dak can lift them on their back? I'm not sure. I love Dak Prescott as a player, but I don't think he's that kind of quarterback at all.
Russell Wilson do this in Dallas? No chance. No chance Russell Wilson plays like this.
The only thing is...
Russell would be pretty good in Dallas. What would be wrong with Russell in Dallas right now?
He's slow.
Yeah, Dak's slow too.
Not like Russ.
Right, not like Russ. He doesn't throw...
Russ, I'm sure Russ has a lot more rushing yards than Dak this year.
Have you seen Russell Wilson try to run an open field?
Yeah, but if you see Dak doesn't run anymore.
Right, but it's not always all about running. Some of it is also just avoiding the rush. Some of it is just overall athleticism. He's a younger, less injury-prone player at this point. He doesn't throw the ball as well. I don't know. And it's not like Denver has bad weapons. I mean, Cortland Sutton has been catching one-handed catches for the last 3-4 weeks in a row. To me, that would be the difference. You say, okay, if you took Dak Prescott off the Cowboys and you gave him some of these guys we think of as game managers. Again, the guy I thought about was, Russell Wilson or Baker Mayfield. Is Baker Mayfield doing this in Dallas? Again, I don't think there's any chance that's happening.
Yeah, I don't know. They do have Micah Parsons and a great defense. I don't think they're. Yeah, Dak's playing way better than. But Baker Mayfield's not a great game manager, by the way. He should be a better game manager if he was.
But he is one though. You're saying good or not good like that?
No, Baker runs around like crazy.
But Baker can't be anything more. He's not going to be a game changer.
But here's my point. Baker,
he's game manager not by choice but by talent.
But watch Baker. He's doing the chaos drill all the time. He is not game managing. Baker's running around and finding Mike Evans at the last second. There's nothing game managing. Baker's not running a game management system at all in Tampa Bay. He's holding onto the ball and trying to make plays. That's Baker Mayfield's thing. And also Russell Wilson is. I understand he's slow, but I think he's running for 3 times as many yards as Dak Prescott.
315 rushing yards for Russell Wilson, 185 for Dak.
Okay. I mean, Russell still moves a little bit. Dak's lost his step in a big way since the injuries. He is not a running around quarterback at all.
I think the question is, do you consider Dak Prescott a game manager? Is that something when you look at Dak Prescott, you're like, is that a game manager? Because DJ's point, the stats can be very gaudy. Now, maybe that says a little bit more about where we are in the NFL, right? Where the stats just, they don't, throwing for 4,000 yards is pretty much, it's kind of like standard.
Well, what do you guys think of Jared Goff? I mean, Jared Goff's tailed off a little bit, but do you think he's a game manager?
Well, and don't forget, he was getting some MVP love.
Yeah.
Not long ago.
See, to me, he fit that mold a little more because you saw him on a team that went to the Super Bowl and he couldn't get it done against the elite, and they had to get Matt Stafford, a guy who I don't think anyone thinks is a game manager.
Right.
So, to me, we've kind of seen the proof in the pudding with that. Again, with Dak, maybe multiverse of Maggie and Perloff tomorrow. But you'd have to put him on a different team and say, okay, would the Cowboys with a much better quarterback be so much better than they are now? I don't see that.
But do you think where would the Cowboys be with Jared Goff?
I think they'd be worse.
I think they'd be worse. Too.
How many games worse?
I don't know, but Jared Goff has turned into a turnover machine in the last 4 games.
Well, I mean, the Lions are 9-4. And that's the Lions. I think the Cowboys have a much better team around Dak than the Lions have around Jared Goff. That's a young team around.
I don't know about that.
I would take the Lions roster now over the Cowboys.
Offensive line is
good.
You
guys
You love Amon-Ra St. Brown. Maybe he's not as good as CeeDee Lamb. Laporta looks like he's going to be great.
Jake Ferguson looks like he's going to be great.
Yeah, but...
I mean, great.
Better running back. Comparable wide receiver.
David Montgomery was on the
Tony
trash
Pollard's
heap.
out of gas already.
Yeah.
They only have Tony Pollard. They have two good running backs. You have I think comparable top wide receiver.
Come on.
Your guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and CeeDee Lamb.
No, I think CeeDee's past Amon-Ra right now. I think CeeDee's one of the top.
You don't think he's comparable?
No, I think CeeDee's better right now.
Who's got the better coach?
But regardless, I think the Dallas Cowboys have Micah Parsons on defense. I know Aiden Hutchinson's good, but look at the Cowboys' defensive line is the strength of their team.
I'm thinking about offense. Yeah, I'm thinking about offense. But Dallas' defense is way better.
Yeah, I mean, that Detroit's Achilles heel is the defense. I mean, they can't stop anybody.
So I think if you put Jared Goff on the Cowboys, I think you would find a way to win a lot of games. First of all, let Dan Quinn win these games. That's the point. We've always had these guests on say the Cowboys want to run the ball because they have this amazing defense.
Yeah, but they don't.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But they could.
They could say this, but they aren't doing it. So we can only go off what they do, not what they say.
Jared Goff, I think, is a better quarterback than most people think. I think he'd be fine with the Cowboys. Maybe they're 9-4, but I don't think they take a huge drop off.
So I ask again, what about Russell Wilson? Like, to me,
I think Russell Wilson would have been okay in Dallas. I think they'd be 9-4, 8-5. Like maybe a game. Yeah, Dak's better than him right now, but I don't think they would have a huge fall off at all.
I can't see that.
855,
all you have to do
CBS.
is let Micah Parsons win that game for you. Did you see against the Eagles? They were destroying.
Okay, but now I feel
like
like you're describing a game manager. You're saying that now Russell Wilson, all he has to do is just let the defense win. That's not what Dak's doing.
Yeah, and here's the other part, too, is if you're just going to rely on the defense, you see what happens when you get down 2 scores. Then you're at a super disadvantage because Micah Parsons is going to become way less effective because your opponent's just going to start running the ball.
And the Cowboys are going to get killed, like the Niners game.
Exactly. So
and Dak can't do anything about that because he's a game manager.
Well, but we're asking him to do more, aren't we? I mean,
you ask him all you want, you're not going to get it.
Okay, here's the thing. Would the expectation for a game manager be to win the Super Bowl? Because that's where the expectation is right now for Dak.
And Brock.
Well, but Brock Purdy is on maybe the best complete team in the NFL.
Yeah, I think a lot of game managers have won Super Bowls.
No, not have.
Yeah,
the expectation for Dak is Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Do we put that on game managers?
100%.
Like who?
I know what you're going to say.
Well,
I wanted to say it.
Well, I mean, Brady had some game managers. Matt Ryan was a game manager. There's a lot. Eli was a game manager. I'm not great at it, but he could have been a game manager.
Well, Eli turned the ball over.
You guys, Joe Flacco was a game manager in a lot of senses. Like the guys who.
Yeah, but the expectation for Joe Flacco wasn't Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl because he was on an all-time heater of a run.
Nobody believed he could win one.
Yeah, this is Joe Flacco elite became like a joke.
I mean, if you're looking at
Tom
Super Bowl
Brady's in
winners,
a totally different strategy.
It's basically all Brady and Mahomes. But here's the thing: a guy like Cam Newton,
Wait, Mahomes?
I'm saying no. I'm saying if you're name a game manager who won the Super Bowl, I'm saying my only quarterbacks to choose from over the last 10 years are basically Mahomes
those are the
and
two
Brady.
guys who have been winning, right?
So, but as a guy like Cam Newton, who's the opposite of a game manager, who's a dynamic, put the team on my back.
So what about Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning, yeah, I mean Manning was not really a Super Bowl winning quarterback though. He won one. He won
doesn't
one.
Count the Denver game. The Denver Super Bowl.
Well, that was a game man. I mean, obviously Denver, he was game managing times a million, right?
Yeah,
yes,
that was definitely game manager Peyton mode. I meant like in his prime.
The Super Bowl still counts.
No, he was not a game manager, but he was not obviously a great postseason quarterback. So I don't even know what we're talking about here with Peyton Manning.
Well, what do you consider?
I feel like the ultimate non-game managers are Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, Patrick Mahomes, because he runs around like crazy. And then the game managers are the guys like Matt Ryan, and Brady was really great at managing games. He was the best, probably the best game manager ever. Like Brady would do exactly what you needed to win. That's all he cared about. If you needed 300 yards, he would do it for you. If you needed a slow game, he would do it for you. He had the whole thing in front of him. And to me, that when I think game manager, I'm using it as a more positive way.
No, it's not that it's not effective. It's not that. It's just we're talking about I just don't think that Dak Prescott belongs in that distinction. Like whether it's positive or negative, everyone gets paid, right? So it's not as positive or negative, but I don't know. When I look at Dak Prescott, I think I see someone who's being asked to be more than a game manager in a lot of ways. But I want to hear from you. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We do have an update, speaking of Dak, on his contract. Jerry Jones on Dallas radio yesterday. And later in this hour, Perloff goes against the grain. It is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back here on Maggie and Perloff. So I have an important set of alerts that comes to my phone. It is
checking account in case anyone tries to commit fraud.
No, I do have that. It's not traffic. It's not weather. All the things I'm interested in. It is a newspaper called the New York Post, which apparently covers nothing but important subjects. Yesterday, one came through that just changed my entire day. Basically, there's a gigantic debate out there in the world about showering.
Showering.
Yes, showering.
Well, we all know we should do it. That's not the debate.
A woman went on to TikTok and said that my mother showers the wrong way. You have my attention now.
There's a wrong way to shower?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Apparently, everybody, and I had no idea that this was the case, everybody has a different way of showering. Either you stand with your back to the water or you stand with your front to the water, and you don't do it both ways. You're back to the water or front to the water, and the two never meet. So to me, I did not know this because I assumed that everybody was back to the water.
No, front to the water.
Back to the water.
Back
front
to the water. You'll be too cold with your back to the water.
I don't understand. It's completely uncomfortable. So you have the water flying into your face while you're sitting there trying to
great.
Thank you.
I didn't
Right
know
on the
you
face.
showered with your back to the water.
Say you take a 10-minute shower and the water is pouring into your eyes for 10 minutes. You don't turn. I feel like if I see on TV, my image of a commercial is the back is to the water.
That's because they're trying to sell you something. But when you're really in there, water, but you can also adjust the spigot. So it's like, it doesn't have to be like right shooting you in the eyeball. I mean, you can have it like on your chest or whatever.
I find it more comfortable too. It's like a back massage when the hot water's coming down on your back. It's a great feeling. Coming down on my front and getting all over my face. And, that doesn't
I need
fun
to
at
wake
all.
me up. Like that's part of the reason why I shower front to faucet.
But then do you turn around once you're warm?
Not really. I mean a little bit, but like mostly I'm a front to faucet guy.
Yeah. Let's take a vote. Who's front to faucet? Me.
Me.
See?
Wow,
We're best friends,
Bogus
man.
and
You gotta
Perloff.
just own it. Just
I
take
know.
I feel
San
good about this
Antonio.
one. I think a majority is back. I think that's a more common
So the
way.
majority's wrong.
But you do spin a little bit, right? Like, I mean, my
course.
default position is back to the shower.
Right, you have
but
to
like,
wash the front.
Right.
But yeah, when you're just sitting there relaxing in the shower and deep in thought,
Right,
I feel like back is the way to go. It's more meditative.
This is not, we're not talking about when you're actually, doing whatever you got to do. Clean whatever you got to clean. When you're just having those private moments and you find yourself sort of zoning out in the shower, is your front to the faucet or is your back to the faucet?
No, my back is like you said, I want to not have the water jamming me in the face. I'm standing there that's coming down, it's soothingly on the back of my head, rolling down my back. That's the way to do it.
That's what I would have thought. I
Yeah.
actually didn't know. But I do agree with this take that I think you do it one way or the other. I don't think you go 50-50.
Yeah, it's like people who sleep on their back versus you're trained in this area. Carlos is military. Thank you for your service.
One eye open, one hand out.
With a knife in your hand. Interesting. But I think there's something to that. So like, are you confident? Are you, less confident? There's a whole thing about sleeping on the stomach versus the back. I think showering is just I think it's about temperature.
Throw the poll up there, EJ.
Yeah.
Do you shower with your back to the faucet or your front to the faucet?
All right. Let's get to our Cowboy Quickie. Jerry Jones talking on the radio. 105.7, The Fan in Dallas. Talking about this never-ending quest to get some kind of contract done with Dak Prescott. Just do it already. Meanwhile, he said they're in a good position on these contract talks.
Don't pay any attention to discussion. It's meaningless. The only thing that is factual here is what I decide and what we decide as a team and what Dak decides. And so all of that should have the nuances of that relationship as to that team and that player. And that's the way that it is.
All right, so it's Jerry's decision. It's just like, if there was really nothing to see here, why isn't it done?
Oh, history repeats itself. How many times is Jerry not going to pay Dak on time? How many times are we going to do this
They got burned
storyline?
from this last time.
Yeah, it was a 2-year process last time. I mean, come on. They're going to pay him now, and then 4 years from now, they're going to run into the same thing. This debate feels really old. Yeah, I assume they will pay him. Jerry kind of screwed this up.
He screwed it up the first time, and he's screwing it up this time.
I mean, the truth is he was going to have to pay a lot of money because every quarterback's getting paid a ton of money. Whoever's up next is making $50 million. So he's going to make $50 million. There's just no way around it.
Why not $70 million?
Defer it. Defer it like
Defer it
Shohei.
until 2040. That's your Cowboy Quickie. poll question is up right now at Maggie and Pearl. Is Dak Prescott a game manager, as Cam Newton called him? Vote yes, no. Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines.
Can I ask one more shower question?
Yeah, sure.
Do you guys know the podcast Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard?
Yep.
So on one of those episodes, he talked about how he does, and he suggests this to everybody, he doesn't fully clean his body in every shower. He has an acronym that I can't repeat because some of it's bad words, but he only cleans certain parts of his body in every shower. And then the full body shower is like every third day thing. And his argument is, if I put soap under my armpits, on my chest, in my groin, the soapy water rinses off the rest of my body.
Yeah, that's a fallacy, man.
Nasty work.
You really think that if you put soap under your armpit, somehow it's going to get into your nether regions?
No. The nether regions
the
always get
undercarriage
cleaned.
is the first spot. I mean, yeah.
Why else are you in there?
But I do agree. The first things you clean are those, what he just said.
Right.
Every time.
You're
Every
like
time.
sitting
Every
there.
time.
You're sitting there and scrubbing your calves in the shower.
Yeah,
Right.
I do that. That's true. But I do wash my feet.
Every time?
Every time I wash my feet.
Like in between your toes and everything?
No, I put soap on my hand or loofah, depending, and then I wash my feet.
That sounds a little dangerous.
Why?
I don't know.
I
You
have
get
to
soap
shave-
all over your feet?
I also have to shave my legs, so I'm used to kind of balancing.
Yeah. Wait, EJ, you kind of scrub your calves and your knees and all that stuff?
Yeah, you got to get everything.
And
What
like
are we
your
doing? What are we
shoulders
doing
and
here? Yeah. What are we doing? What are we talking about?
Wait, well, what do you
only
mean?
doing the half measure for a shower? Give me a break.
See, sometimes I don't wash my hair.
Yeah, that's a new thing for me,
Hair is
too.
the thing that is not an everyday thing sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
So wait, you're
But the
sitting there and
body is
taking
the body.
soap on your knees. Okay, I find this
I mean,
weird.
no, but I mean, you're making it sound like it's like I'm splitting an atom. Like like you do your thing.
And what about your back? How do you get to all that? I
A
mean, you
back
do the
brush.
top of your back.
Yeah, I mean, you try to do the best you can. I have long arms, so I try to do the best you can. But I'm making an attempt to get everywhere. Let me make that clear.
Yeah.
There's definitely parts of my back that have never been touched by soap. Directly from my
Well,
hands.
You got the water. You got the water back there because you're back to the faucet.
You know, I have another weird. I'll admit this. Sometimes there's never soap in the shower. I'll use shampoo instead of soup.
Oh, I do the same thing.
You got to do that in a pinch.
Also, too, because and to Dak Shepard's point, the shampoo creates a ton of suds that washes all over your body, and I like that too.
You can also use hair conditioner. Well, you guys don't shave your legs. Well, unless you do.
Oh,
unless you're
hair,
swimmers.
Hair.
You can use that as shaving cream sometimes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you guys go top to bottom, right? Everybody knows that part. Like you do your hair and then your face and then your body.
Hair and then your face.
Yeah. Top to bottom.
No, I gotta tell you, the nether regions is the first go-to for me.
Immediately.
Yeah, that's me too.
Wow.
We're learning a lot today.
Yeah. So like to me, it's logical. You wash your hair and then you wash your face to get like any residual from the hair washing off. And then the same thing for your body. You're cleaning everything off that has just cascaded down from the first two
Yeah, it's like
things.
sweeping the steps. You sweep the first step, then the
Right.
second step, and go down
Exactly.
and down and down.
Face and hair is usually last for me.
Yeah,
like
same
I'm
for
doing
me as well.
I'm doing the whole body, and then I'm doing the face, and then
Hair
shampoo to the hair and
Yeah.
beard wash.
If you read the back of the shampoo, it tells you, hey, let the shampoo sit in there a little bit. So I'll hit the shampoo. I won't wash it. I'll just let it sit there while I clean everything else, and then hit the hair at the end.
Well, see, that's a thing for women because you shampoo and then the conditioner's got to sit on there for a little bit. So
Yeah.
while the conditioner's sitting, then you can take care of everything else.
My daughter, by the way, tells me she follows all this on TikTok. You cannot wash your hair every day. She's very adamant about it. I was like, you got to be careful about that because you don't want to kill all the oil in your hair.
Yeah. That's definitely a new thing. That's like, remember the old food pyramid where they used to be like, eat lots of white bread. It's like, wash your hair every day. It's like, no.
Cookies are good for you.
Yeah, don't eat the white bread and don't wash your hair.
I would think too, and it sounds like EJ, you're using a lot of soap. Like that soap can dry out your face. Like you have to be.
Gotta moisturize.
Well,
You have to be
I'm using
judicious.
I'm using a face wash, and then I'm lotioning up.
Yeah.
Lotion is very important.
Especially around here.
So right, if you
Dry.
say if you did all this soaping without lotion, you'd be in big trouble.
Have you ever I don't know, guys might be a little bit different. You guys probably could go a little longer without the lotion. I mean, your skin just becomes like sandpaper so fast.
One thing I wish I could tell my younger self: moisturize. Yeah, that's. And by the way, everybody.
Good
if you
time
read
machine. That's
anything-
the only thing he'd say.
I say
What's the
90%.
future like? I
What-
can't tell you, but moisturize.
Every time I see a headline, this is the key to skincare. It's always moisturize, sunscreen, moisturize.
Yeah, the sunscreen.
One of the quickest way to get just clowned in the black community, show up ashy.
Oh,
you
remember
have to.
Kevin Durant almost got clowned for that. And
Yes.
He's like, do not make me pull my bank account on you guys.
Yes, you cannot look ashy. So lotion is very, very important.
Actually, speaking of Durant, I think what Dax Shepard is saying here by he only washes certain body parts in the shower, he doesn't necessarily do everything every time. It's kind of like staggering minutes. You know, this is kind of like what's going on with Phoenix. Like, you're not going to play Booker and Beal at the same time. Right?
And it's a little load management-like because it's about efficiency and getting in and out. And sometimes you take the second night off because you just played the night before in Atlanta. Yeah. Full shower Monday, so Tuesday you go quick.
Second night of back-to-back, you're in Detroit. Let it go.
Wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, the underarms and the undercarriage, anything that is tight and sweaty, like your knees do not sweat. That's what I'm saying. Bogus, you get what I'm talking about. Like, yes, you clean the parts that get dirty, but you're not focusing on the lower half as much. That I totally get with that. Maybe I'm gross.
No. So I think my normal thing was to concentrate on the 4 areas that he points out.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, if I get a shoulder, my shoulder, that's great. But he's literally like, just put soap on your armpits, on the word that Maggie likes to spell out, and then your nether regions.
Well, also, Maggie is a 4-year-old boy. He's got dirt all of these places,
Everywhere.
probably, everywhere. As an adult, I am not doing anything outside, and I'm never really dirty, which is
I
kind
haven't
of
been in a
sad.
sandbox in a while.
Once in a while, we'll go on a hike, and I'll come back. I'm like, oh, my God, there's actually dirt on my legs for the first time since I was 12.
No, by the end of the day, I just look at my kid is totally covered in under his nails.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
I hate to say it, our jobs do not lend themselves to having manly hands by any means.
We're not like that. No,
we don't need that. What's that soap that you have to use when you're a cleaner? Like, it's like black and for real. Like, that's the opposite of the kind of soap we need.
The worst hazard for us, I don't know if you guys find this, is when you're at a game and all those little tire bits get in your shoe. Really uncomfortable.
Hashtag warrior right there, Maggie.
Just wait till your kid goes to recess and he comes home every day and his sneakers are full of those things. That's my life now. My
just
front door
and
my
everywhere.
garage. I can basically make new MetLife Stadium with the rubber pellet. The NFL.
He's also tearing his ACL every day, which is really weird.
That's like keep Aaron Rodgers out.
The NFL usually reviews the circumstances around a player entering concussion protocols. It seems like there are issues to find in Pittsburgh surrounding TJ Watt. Most of us remember him getting kneed in the face on the very first play of Thursday Night Football last week. Watt was checked, allowed to play, but then entered protocols on Friday. At some point during that Patriots game, he switched to a tinted visor, one you'd wear when the sun was out, which it was not, and light sensitivity is a concussion symptom. Mike Tomlin asked about that new visor on Monday.
I wasn't aware of that, to be honest with you, so I don't have a response to that. I wasn't aware that he changed visors or he normally wears a visor. You mean the tint of his visor was different? I wasn't aware of that.
Tomlin has been vague in the past about players being checked for concussions during games. And with this one, the fact that he didn't know about the visor 4 days later seems a little fishy.
Well, he's your most important player.
Right.
Yeah. So you think that you want to basically be up to the second on what his status is, right?
And you'd think you go back and go, how come he was okay Thursday night, but then Friday morning he felt terrible and now he's in protocols? Like, did we do something wrong? Did we miss something? Do we need a new independent neurologist on the sideline?
I mean, sometimes the concussion symptoms come out a little bit later, but it doesn't feel like this is one of those cases because if he needed the visor right away, light sensitivity feels like a red flag.
I have to tell you, I was getting looked at for concussion on the weekend when I hit my eye, and they said it could be hours later or days later that the symptoms hit. So there is some weirdness around it. I think the NFL's forgot about the concussion lawsuit.
Remember
I think
with Brock Purdy, it was like it wasn't until the flight home from Minnesota that he started to feel.
I'm not surprised Tomlin's missing this now. It feels emblematic. Guys are coming back immediately from concussion protocol, so it feels like the whole NFL is getting loose. And you guys are kind of skeptical of Tomlin. I totally agree.
Well, I think we, criticized Mike McDaniel last year. Well, Tua was
it was ridiculous.
Extremely obvious. And he's like, no, it's a back issue. I just leave this to the medical professionals. And that was not a good enough answer for us then. Mike Tomlin's doing the same thing.
Definitely.
So why would it be a good enough answer now?
And I get that you can get symptoms after the fact. That's not my issue. I think people knew about the visor Thursday night, the visor change. Yeah. And on Monday, he still didn't have a good answer for it.
Right.
How do you go, I didn't know about that Monday when it was talked about? Like somebody in the Steelers is not doing their job. Just like the PR, the media people who are not like prepping him correctly. Like he should have a better answer by Monday for something that people were talking about Thursday night, Friday morning.
Well, he's a coach at a podium. He's probably lying.
Well, then lie better.
Well, and I think Perloff's point, though, about it does not feel like it's with the same urgency of last year. Like Derek Carr's already had 2 concussions. He's out there playing. Brock Purdy had the concussion. I believe he played the next week, right?
Yeah. Sunday during the Colts game, Gardner Minshew got rocked, got up, and wandered. And even the guys on TV were like, I can't believe they're not stopping this game right now because he doesn't look right. And he kept playing.
They handed the ball off 7 times in a row after that. Gardner Minshew was passing every down. Right. And that they knew. And they didn't do anything. They didn't even take him out of the game. It was weird. The Colts could have taken him out of that game. They knew he had a concussion, and the fact that America did, it's not good, right?
NFL's playing with fire. They have another Tua situation that ends hopefully not, but if it ends tragic or something like that's going to be talk of the conversation again. It's going to be about the concussion protocol and how they're handling it.
And they're always going to look reactionary.
Yeah, and reactionary a little too. And by reactionary, they're always behind the times.
The NBA Cup hangover is real, guys. The Lakers played last night for the first time since winning the title on Saturday, and they lost in Dallas.
Exum, can he be a hero? He is! He's a hero tonight! Oh, kill shot for Dante Exum! 26, his 5th three-pointer here in the 4th quarter.
That's Chuck Cooperstein, Mavs Radio. Dante Exum, a season-high 26. Tim Hardaway Jr., a season-high 32. And Luka had 33 points with 17 assists in a 127-125 victory. Lakers head coach Darvin Ham preaching patience.
Coming off of what we just came off of, I'm truly, truly disappointed. Obviously, we didn't get the win, but the way we fought, it's encouraging.
They're coming off 3 games last week, one of which the Pelicans didn't show up for. So they definitely couldn't have been ready to play last night in Dallas. Draymond Green,
it was like a hangover.
Draymond Green ejected again, this time for clubbing Yusuf Nurkic in the side of the head in the Warriors' 119-116 loss in Phoenix. This is Green's 3rd ejection of the season. The first was for 2 techs. The second, of course, for choking Rudy Gobert. In a late-night coaching change in the NHL, the Blues dumping Craig Berube amid a 4-game losing streak. Guys, back to you.
Is anyone else shocked that Dante Exum is scoring 26 points in an NBA game?
Felt a little fluky.
Yeah, Dante Exum?
He's played great all year. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who was out of the league, and he was a bust in Utah. Now he's back, and shout out to Dallas. Great find.
Coming up, Perloff goes against the grain. Plus, we see you guys on the phones. We'll get to that as well. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff. Where else? CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. See you guys on the phones. But first, we love it every time Perloff decides to reach in, pull out against the grain.
Against the grain.
Not sure why I said it that way. Anyway, the floor is yours.
Okay. I was watching Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee show like I always do on Tuesdays. I actually came home at lunchtime from jury duty. You guys don't believe I'm actually on jury duty.
You get to leave to go home? Sure.
Ate lunch in front of the TV and watched Aaron Rodgers, and there was very little football, but someone asked him a good question. Why this year are there so many quarterback injuries? You know, Justin Herbert's the latest to go down. You had Rodgers, you had Kirk Cousins, you had Joe Burrow, Sean Watson, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, and then all sorts of minor injuries too. Even the guys who are out there feel like they're a play away from getting hurt. So Aaron Rodgers, he says something funny. He goes, well, if the NFL knew what it was, they would do something about it. He goes, actually, they probably wouldn't do something about it. Regardless, I know what it is. Do you know why all the quarterbacks are getting hurt?
Why was it 7 different starting quarterbacks are hurt now?
Yes,
Do I know why?
And you know why there's all backups by week 17?
Well, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't know why, you know why?
I know why. It's the NFL's fault. Because the NFL is the king of unintended consequences. So they make all these rules to protect the quarterback. What do the quarterbacks do? They're like, we are going to drop back and pass every play because we can get a 15-yard penalty. So now, if you watch the NFL, quarterbacks are not handing the ball off like they used to, Maggie. They're dropping back every play. And when does a quarterback get hurt? When he drops back. So they're making all these rules to protect the quarterback, which ironically the quarterbacks are taking advantage of and getting out there and passing every play. Every one of those quarterbacks I mentioned got hurt on a pass play. So if you're going to triple the number of pass plays in the NFL, you're going to have more quarterback injuries. So put all the rules you want in. It's just going to end up with more injuries. It's the exact same argument as the helmet theory. People say nobody gets hurt in rugby because they're not wearing helmets, so they don't lead with their helmet. If you put a helmet on a player, he's going to become a missile out there. If you say to a quarterback, we're going to protect you, he's going to drop back 45 times a game and risk injury. And he's going to play till he's 40, and his muscles are going to be less supple, and he's going to risk injury. If you have Joe Flacco out there at 38, watch that dude's going to get hurt. So I just think this idea of quarterback safety is ironically causing an unintended consequence that you're having more dropbacks and more injuries. Who's with me? Who's with me? Carlos, you with me?
I was just telling EJ, I'm like, he makes some really salient points.
There we go.
You won me
Salient.
over. I think that's a pretty good argument.
Yeah.
Flawless victory for Perloff.
Oh.
Whoa.
I mean, crown him. It's a good point. I just think it's not just that.
Well, what is it? Oh, also, wait, the turf also. The turf that they're keeping, there's bad turf out there now. I will give you that, but
I know that in this instance, guys were getting hurt when they were dropping back or on pass plays, but don't you also think guys running more? Like,
yeah.
You're also out of the pocket. Like Daniel Jones, it might not have been this year, but in years past has gotten hurt when he's out of the pocket. Dak's gotten hurt when he's been out of the pocket. I think that guys are running too, and they're also acting like runners because they feel like they're protected from the referees. Again, going back to your player safety.
Well, actually, I put the quarterbacks are also running a lot because the rules protect them when they're running too. Yeah. So actually, any drop back, whether you pass the ball or you run the ball, it's just the quarterback is doing more of that now. It used to be the running back. It actually fits very well. What you're saying is consistent with what I'm saying in the sense that quarterbacks are encouraged to run now, so they're getting hurt.
Can I also give you one more? And
Please.
This is one I hear from college people and people scout all the time, is that the biggest toughest thing to adjust to from college to pro is offensive line, and that the college offensive linemen are just not ready when they get to the NFL level. They need to be developed, yet you have less practices, fewer padded practices, and it's hard for the offensive linemen to catch up maybe more than any, like receiver, you can walk in and be Zay Flowers. You can be awesome immediately. Running back, you can be great immediately. Yeah. Even quarterbacks, look at CJ Stroud. But offensive linemen need a lot more seasoning, and these bad offensive lines are getting guys hurt too.
I'll completely buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also too, the offensive linemen are asked to be doing a much harder thing to pass protect. So they got to back up. It's easy to come out of college and just maul the guy in front of you. I mean, right. I could run block if I was bigger. It doesn't take as much skill. I think it all works together.
There's also so much quick game now in college. Everything is screen passes. Everything is swing plays. Like, there isn't so much of that we're going to drop back 7 steps and make
you get rid of the ball really fast.
Yeah, quarterbacks getting rid of the ball so fast. Basically, the spread offense was created in part to help offensive lines that were poor. That was why
Art Briles in Texas high school took it to a new level. He moved everybody out to the edges because he was a smaller team.
Exactly.
Sorry, can I just up that? It's really good. I'd be curious if anyone else has any thoughts. Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be this great deep thinker. He's never had any thought about why quarterbacks are getting hurt more.
Actually, I thought about that too because he loves when the authority is wrong about something. And my favorite thing, the NFL has this tendency to make a rule that has the exact opposite effect of what they want.
Yeah.
They do it time in and time out again. And that's why I really enjoy thinking about it. I could be wrong, but I would like to see the NFL try to do something and screw it up. Because I still see concussions all the time.
Meanwhile,
every single week.
You know what's on the docket right now in the winter meetings for the owners?
Yeah, the tush push.
The tush push. This could be RIP tush push happening.
How many quarterbacks are getting hurt on quarterback sneaks?
It is Wednesday, which means we do great debate series around here, inspired by the week's news. What do we have in store for you today? You'll find out in a matter of moments. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on this Wednesday, which we call Great Debate Wednesdays around here. We take something from inspired by the week's news and kind of expand out a little bit and have some fun with it. So, Perloff, this week, one of the biggest stories was Shohei Ohtani and the record-breaking $700 million contract that turns out was a lot more to the story. It wasn't exactly $700 million over 10 years. It's $700 million basically over 20 years with all the deferments.
Yeah, it's a bizarre contract. I think we basically figured it out that this was a way to pay him. He already makes a lot of money with marketing, and it helps him build around him. It makes sense to me. You guys had more of a problem with it. Basically, it's a contract worth about $460 million. So he's the highest, even if that was the number, he'd still be $40 million above the highest contract. So he's the highest paid player in baseball. He's just not a $700 million player.
Yeah, which is it was eyebrow raising. Like, in $680 million of deferred money somehow feels like a team is cheating, even though we know that other players have had money deferred. To this level and to this extent, kind of feels like you're working the system a little bit.
That being said, you guys were worried about Ohtani. Ohtani could live 14 lifetimes and not spend his money. He is going to make $1.5 billion in his career.
Okay, so again, that was the news of the week, was the Ohtani contract, which was a blockbuster. How we are taking the Great Debate series is in a little bit of a different way. Let's hit the music, Carlos.
The Great Debate Series.
Inspired by Shohei Ohtani and the news of his contract, today's Great Debate is the worst contracts in the history of sports, Perloff. We're going all the way back, and even now present day, the worst contracts ever. We've all got one. Kick us off.
Okay, this guy, it's unfair because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, times 1,000. He's one of the great players in modern baseball history. But he signed the worst contract, and he's become the symbol of bad baseball contracts, and that is Albert Pujols.
Oh, boy.
Albert Pujols in 2012 signed with the Angels after an incredible career with the Cardinals, and everything fell apart. $240 million over 10 years. Quick look at his numbers with the Angels and with the Cardinals. He had $256 with the Angels, $328 with the Cardinals. Got on base 31% of the time for the Angels, 42% with the Cardinals. .447 slugging with the Angels, not great. .617 with the Cardinals. So this did not work out in a big way. But real quick, the funny thing, I did some research. It's by Angels writers say this is not the worst contract they've handed out. Josh Hamilton, 5 years for $125 million was worse, but he's a totally separate case. Yeah. I think Albert Pujols is the symbol for an aging slugger. Baseball teams overpaying him, and that's why I put him as the number one. Let's hear a little bit.
I just been here less than 24 hours, and from going around the city and just meeting people and just welcome me to the city or LA, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited for our ball club.
To sports now, and this was surprising for a lot of us today. The Angels released first baseman Albert Pujols in the middle of the final year of that massive 10-year contract. According to the LA Times, the 41-year-old was upset about not being in the lineup last night against the Rays, and that decision reportedly came from the front office, not from manager Joe Madden.
Yeah, that was Fox 11 in L.A. I loved Albert Pujols with the Dodgers. That was a nice little renaissance because there was no money, no expectations. So disappointing with the Angels. And this is almost an honor to what a great player he is because this was such a bad deal and such a disappointing second half of a career.
Wow. Okay, Albert Pujols as the worst contract in the history of sports. I'm going to go to a much different place, and this is to a guy who got paid a lot in a sport where one person really can make the difference between, winning and losing, postseason success and not, and that is the NBA. And the worst contract is Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas with the Washington Wizards. It was a 6-year, $111 million contract that he barely played 45 games after signing it. And listen, guys sign bad contracts, Perloff, and get hurt. And Gilbert Arenas did deal with a knee injury. But it was the spectacular fashion by which Gilbert Arenas washed out of the NBA that makes it the worst ever. Listen to this.
Guard Gilbert Arenas of the Washington Wizards has been suspended indefinitely without pay by NBA Commissioner David Stern. In a statement, Stern says Arenas' behavior does not make him, quote, currently fit to take the court. The veteran guard met with law enforcement officials on Monday and said the next day that he feared Stern more than the authorities because the commissioner was mean.
It was David Stern and the new guy now, Adam Silver. Okay. And he said, you're going to take 50 games or I'm going to come after your contract. So at that time, I just lost my Adidas deal. And then he's saying, I'm going to take your contract if you try to fight this. I mean, who am I? Am I going to fight the commissioner of the NBA at this point? So I took the 50 games and shut up.
Gilbert Arenas, his beef or brouhaha with Javaris Crittenden, who ended up getting in a lot of trouble in his own right and a totally different situation, brings 4 guns into the locker room, puts them after a card game dispute on the team plane, puts 4 guns on a chair in the locker room with a sign on it that said, pick one for Javaris Crittenden. Crittenden brought a gun to the locker room. Someone had to call 911. The late Flip Saunders was locked in his office at the time, locked himself in his office, thinking that this could have gone to someplace super, super tragic. And, I mean, $111 million, this is back in 2007, 2008. It was an insane amount of money for no return. By the way, Gilbert Arenas, a great talent, clearly, and made all NBA teams. 1 playoff series win his entire career. And when he got to the second round, he got swept and shot 20% from 3. So it's all disappointment for Arenas.
Wow. That's pretty weak on the late Flip Saunders that he hid in his office when his players.
Well, everyone else scattered out of it.
Yeah. That's a good one. I know as a fact that there was another Wizard that you must have looked at. The two of them.
John Wall.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal might even be bad considering they didn't get a great return for
yeah,
him. John Wall is also bad.
I love this one. But the thing is, the average contract in the NBA qualifies for this. Alan Crabb getting $75 million from the Nets. You must have, when you're looking at the NBA contracts, they're all so ludicrously overpriced.
This was back in a little bit more of a different time.
To go over $100 million in 2008, that's nuts.
Back then.
Yeah,
so long ago.
That's a good one.
EJ, who do you have?
Okay, so we're going to go back in the Wayback Machine. So it was a homecoming that turned into a disaster. After enjoying all-star years in Pittsburgh, the Mets thought they were getting their next franchise player when they signed outfielder Bobby Bonilla to a 5-year, $29 million contract in 1991. And instead, they were getting one of the worst clubhouse guys in modern-day history.
Here's the pitch. And it's popped out. Girardi comes back and makes the play. And we have 2 down.
And it doesn't take the fans very long to welcome Bobby Bonilla back to New York.
Anytime, Bobby. I know you're feeling an itch. Make your move, partner. Because I'll hurt you. You pardon me? Whatever, you take it as you see. It's just, like the homeboy said back home, we just chilling.
What did I just get down my locker?
And here's the kicker. They're still paying that guy.
And will be for a long time.
Yes, eat your heart out, Shohei Ohtani. So they traded Bobby Bonilla in 1994, but for some reason brought him back in an ill-fated reunion in 1999. So they had $5 million left on his deal. And instead of letting the contract expire, the Mets agreed to make annual payments of nearly $1.2 million for 25 years, starting July 1st, 2011. That included an 8% interest rate. So the Mets, did this thinking that, they were invested in a Bernie Madoff account that promised double-digit returns. We saw how that turned out. And the reason why I think this is so terrible is, number one, there's literally a day named after it. July 1st is now Bobby Bonilla Day.
Now it's going to be Shohei Ohtani Day.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not. Is it July 1st for Shohei?
July 1st for Shohei. It's I think it's the first day of the league year or something like. There's a reason why it's July 1st.
So it's been Bobby Bonilla Day for the last decade plus, and I think the reason why it bothers me so much because I didn't watch Bobby Bonilla play. I was too young, but as a fan, we don't like embarrassment. Okay, like it's bad enough the Mets have had so many other issues.
You should probably turn in your Mets jersey then.
Well, I know, right? But I don't want embarrassment that has nothing to do with even my time of watching the team. I had nothing to do with the Bobby Bonilla years. I don't know very much about Bobby Bonilla's first run with the Mets. I saw him in '99. He was awful. But the fact that I still have to have older fans who want to clown my organization and say, you're paying Bobby Bonilla again. I'm I had nothing to do with Bobby Bonilla. I didn't say whether or not they should have signed him. The fact that I got to wear this L for something they did 30 years ago.
Did you have anything to do with Fernando Tatis? Are you secretly in the front office?
No, I'm just saying, there are so many especially when you live in New York. Yankee fans want to joke on what your franchise done.
Yeah.
Oh, we won 27 World Series. You lived for like one. And then, again, with the Mets, it's always like, oh, look how much of a clown organization you are. You have Bobby Bonilla still on your payroll.
Well, I would think Google Mo Vaughn, by the way, too.
Yeah, Mo Vaughn was a terrible
But I
guy.
actually think a good entry for this list would have been whoever Steve Cohen overpays next offseason.
Or this offseason. We still have a while to go. Carlos, who do you have?
Well, I'm not going to add Jason Bay to the pile.
Another Pittsburgh outfielder that they overpaid.
I blame you, EJ.
You were there.
Well, this one will make EJ feel a lot better because I also thought of a New York baseball player. But I went in the other team. December 3rd, 2013, the New York Yankees and Jacoby Ellsbury, who's coming over from the Red Sox, signed a 7-year, $153 million deal.
He's a dynamic player, someone that obviously can make a difference on the offensive and defensive side, someone that we have seen up close and personal for many years. Appreciate having the opportunity to welcome Jacoby Ellsbury and his wife, Elsie, to the New York Yankee family.
There's some concern here with Ellsbury at first base after this play.
Well, Joe Girardi and Mark Littlefield out there. And
Ellsbury going down the line. Let's see if we see anything at the tail end. He reaches for the bag, then he kind of reaches for a hamstring.
Oh, let me not forget. There was also a option for an 8th year if the Yankees wanted to go that far. Needless to say, they didn't pick it up. He only played 4 years with the team. He had a batting average of .264, 511 hits, 39 home runs, 198 RBIs, and 273 runs scored in just 520 games for the Yankees. So he didn't make it to the full length. But here's why the contract is ugly as all hell. The Yankees try to say that Jacoby Ellsbury got unauthorized medical care because he was so banged up all the time.
They tried to claw some of the money back.
Yeah, they were like, we're not going to pay him for the remainder of the contract because, he went to doctors that were not authorized by us. So the whole thing went into arbitration. They sided with Ellsbury. He got his money, he got his bag, and that's one of the worst contracts I'd ever seen. And good for the Yankees.
Also, he was a former Red Sox, which kind of makes it worse as well.
Well, it's the classic example of someone who kicked your butt. You're like, well, let's bring him over.
If you can't beat him, pay him.
Exactly. I mean, did something similar with Johnny Damon. There you go. Great debate series, Bogus. I don't know if you want to weigh in on that. You can think about it.
No, I've got two. And I also want to save the Bobby Bonilla contract for the most overblown thing in sports history.
Well,
agreed.
It is so because it's
$1.1 million. Shohei's about to get $68 million every July 1st. We're not talking about apples to apples.
But
here.
the thing is, it was smart business by the Mets in the moment.
Yeah, well, their money manager was a crook.
No, but the money that they didn't pay Bobby Bonilla, they paid from Mike Hampton, who got them to the World Series, and then Mike Hampton leaving got them a pick that became David Wright.
Right.
So none of those things happen without being smart about Bonilla. And writing a $1 million check to Bobby Bonilla means absolutely nothing every single day. And he's one of countless people that get deferred payments and have for a long time. It is such a non-story, and it drives me nuts as a Mets fan that it always comes up.
Who's your worst contract in
Chris
sports?
Davis, first
Chris
baseman,
Davis
Orioles, who is Bobby Bonilla times a bazillion.
Still getting paid.
Almost an MVP, an all-star, 61 home runs, signed a contract, had one good year. It was the richest deal in Orioles history. We know they don't spend. They spent on him. His first year was fine. After that, he was absolutely useless.
Okay, so here's why you guys are wrong for doing baseball. The baseball contracts are egregious, but one guy in baseball doesn't make or break a franchise or a team. We see this with the Angels. They had two of the best players, and Mike Trout and Ohtani, and couldn't get to the postseason. In basketball, why I picked Gilbert Arenas, and I could have picked a couple others, one person does actually change the fortune of your team. Baseball's not the same. So
can I give you Ilya Kovalchuk then, if non-baseball?
That was another one. Raised an eyebrow.
Yeah, I think the NHL changed their rules after that one because he makes so much money in the back end of that. It was like 15 years, $100 million, and they had all this weird accounting and redistributing money that the rules changed because of that contract. And he was a bad player.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
There we go. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Worst contracts in sports history. We're not saying Shohei's a bad contract. In fact, it's probably going to be a great contract for the Dodgers. This is just inspired by the Ohtani news. Gabe is in California, has been waiting, wants to talk about Dak Prescott. Hey, Gabe, how are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. First, I just wanted to chime in this question, not knocking the show or the segment, but the Cowboy Quickie. I mean, well, what exactly is that? Is that going to be a routine thing that you guys are doing? Or
Gabe, are you new to the show? You must be.
Well, no. I mean, I chime in like occasionally. You know, I do some driving in the morning, and I listen in. And well, if that's a routine thing, that's even more surprising because I know they're looking decent in December, but it's coming off as like the national media serving us our Cowboy Kool-Aid going into January. So. From the sound of it,
you don't like our neighing horse? How dare you?
Well, no, it's not surprising, right? The Cowboys look half decent, and we're getting us all on the train going into January, only to see them crash out before the NFC Championship game, which they can't even sniff like since the '90s.
Well, listen, Gabe. I mean, the Cowboy Quickie was in no way meant to trigger you and all of your cowboy baggage. It wasn't about that. We just like playing the horse noise.
I think there was a little wink, Gabe, that we understand the Cowboys are overcovered. That's why we call it the Cowboys Quickie.
Wait, we're explaining it. Yes, that's part of it.
Well,
we also do a daily Deion.
Who is also overcovered.
And presented without irony, a daily Deion. And we also do a segment called WTF is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Do you believe that?
So, Gabe, we're glad that you're hanging on. Glad you're listening. But yes, we like to lean into stuff around here.
Don't be a freaking weirdo.
Yeah, I think.
I guess we should explain it. We do have a new audience.
I know there are a lot of people who find the way the media covers the Cowboys tough. I think that's why we call it the Cowboys Quickie. It's not like, hey, we're going to spend 40 minutes talking about Cowboys. We kind of have fun with it.
Meanwhile, the poll question today is Dak Prescott a game manager? You can go to Maggie and Perloff and go vote right now.
Cam Newton said it, not us.
Oh, man. Okay, coming up next, we got you guys on the phones. We're seeing these, the bad contracts are starting to tumble in. The worst contract in sports, that's our great debate for today. Also coming up, Perloff has a transfer portal update.
It's heating up, Maggie.
Oh, this is a doozy. We're on in a certain market that just so happened to get a new quarterback yesterday. We'll talk about all of it. Just moments. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. We have a great debate going on. Worst contract in sports history. Call us 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
We have a couple from the chat.
Ooh,
if you'd like to hear.
What do you got?
Some nominees, if you will, for worst contract ever. Our own Andrew Kaplan said Charlie Weiss at Notre Dame. Terrible contract. Did not think about this from the head coaching side of things.
That's not a bad poll.
We love Cap. Rude Dog says, what about Deshaun Watson? Now, it's awful. It looks terrible, but it's not done yet. He still has time to redeem himself. Just like Russell Wilson's contract looks god-awful as well, but they might make the playoffs this year.
You know, it's funny. If they make the playoffs, it can't fit that category. But Deshaun is because it was so big and so unprecedented for the NFL.
Pine Needle also saying Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M. So we are getting some coaching contracts in as well.
Yeah, I mean, any coaching buyout is crazy. Real quick, I want to do a transfer portal update because it was a crazy day yesterday.
Love it. Do we have a little music? Maybe hit us off with something.
Okay. You got something, Carl? Carlos is great with music. You could go any direction you want. Give us something from that brilliant musical mind of yours. All right. This'll work.
Well, maybe you oversold it.
All right. I'm going to go in reverse order of the big ones.
Okay.
EJ's favorite quarterback of all time, Tyler Van Dyke, Miami Hurricanes legend, signing with Wisconsin, where quarterbacks go to die. Let's be honest here. You couldn't go to a less exciting situation, but Tyler Van Dyke, EJ, you know him well. Did you think he was going to sign with one of the big ones like Ohio State?
I did, and I was really disappointed that he went to Wisconsin. I actually wonder if the market wasn't as high for him as maybe he thought, because he did not play well this year, even though he had an awesome freshman year a couple years ago, and he's just kind of been on decline ever since.
Okay, non-quarterback Trevor Etienne, the brother of Travis Etienne, announced he's leaving Florida. First of all, the fact that he didn't go to Clemson where his brother did was crazy to me. And he is likely going, I don't know if it's done, to Georgia. So a bad day for Georgia in some senses. We'll get to it in a second. But that's a star running back. And, man, he's going to be thrilling at Georgia. Hopefully even get in a Heisman conversation. Georgia did apparently lose a top recruit prospect in Dylan Raiola. Of course, his father, a longtime NFL lineman. Dylan Raiola is reportedly headed towards Nebraska, baby, with Matt Rule.
This is shocking. No?
Well, Nebraska was originally the number one pick because Dominic Raiola not only went to Nebraska, but it's a huge booster, huge supporter.
Okay.
Has always been around. So it was Nebraska and Ohio State were always battling. Then out of nowhere came Georgia.
Right.
I'm sure for some financial reason. Now Georgia's gone. But this is my ongoing argument. It doesn't matter what a 17-year-old or 18-year-old says. In the NIL world, they're going to change 8 times. There's no way Dylan Raiola finishes his career at Nebraska anyway.
Well, here's what I'm wondering about the Georgia thing. Was this him saying, I'm leaving to go to Nebraska because of those relationships, or did Georgia say, hey, kid, hit the portal?
Hit the portal? He hasn't even,
Or sorry,
he hasn't even gotten there
sorry,
yet.
or we're not going to, we're no longer
Paying?
No, just like
No, there's no way they weren't interested. He's
that's what I'm wondering. Which side did it come from?
Oh no, he's kind of generational. He's
All
like
right.
Quinn
That's what
Ewers.
I've been told, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was
No,
surprised
there's
that he
no
wouldn't
other
want to go to
quarterbacks
Georgia.
in his class that are even close to Dylan Raiola.
Okay, I wasn't understanding this one came out of the blue to me.
I think, a lot of years you have one. Like even Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields were 1 and 2. I don't think there's a one above Raiola. Okay, finally.
Wait, wasn't that rule just saying how he can't get any quarterbacks because it's too expensive?
No, it's funny though, when he said that, this made me wonder, because he was talking about transfer portal guys. It always made me wonder, is this guy cheaper than a transfer quarterback?
Well, now that Nebraska's also become the front runner for Kyle McCord, the Ohio State quarterback. So one thing that Matt Rule did was he put the price out there. He said, hey, he had that interview. It was strangely how specific he was. He was almost
$1.5 million, $2 million.
Yeah, he was almost telling the boosters, hey, this is what we need to get. So they could get McCord for this year and Dylan Raiola behind them. All of a sudden, Nebraska is back. Real quick, Cam Ward, who's been the hot guy, Washington State, there's a rumor he might go to the NFL now. He's eligible for the NFL. Forgot about that. That is the ultimate transfer to the pros. And the big one, did you change music, Carlos?
You didn't even notice it.
3 times.
Carlos just Vegas DJ'd this segment where he went from game show music to the NFL on CBS Music to the college
That's
football.
what happens when you hit the wrong button 3 times.
SEC.
Lil Wayne once said, it's the remix, baby.
Honestly, Carlos is a thing of beauty. It was brilliant.
Notre Dame gets Duke quarterback Riley Leonard. Big, can run. He's an amazing basketball player. We saw the video during the Duke game this year. Was hurt last year, but this seems like a big get for Notre Dame.
Seems pretty massive, but my question is he can run, which is
Yeah.
great. Got him hurt, but he can run. Can he throw the ball?
He's got a great arm.
He does. He had 3 touchdowns last year. Now, granted, this was only in 5 games, but he had more rushing touchdowns than he did passing touchdowns. They're going to have to do 2 things here with Notre Dame. You're going to still have to develop him as a passer.
Well, I'm not sure there's a lot of questions about his arm, though, because he was a projected first-round pick. I mean, he was a big deal coming into this year. He was hurt from the get-go. He got hurt, came back. He was never healthy, so I'm not bothered by that. Also, any quarterback that can play basketball really well,
You love.
I love automatically. But here's my concern is Notre Dame going back to the ACC, a lower tier ACC program. Sam Hartman was good. We were all into it. Amazing hair.
Yeah.
But is this a championship quarterback? That's what I would wonder.
Well, yeah, it's like, do you have these great numbers when you're playing, the other teams in the ACC and your classic FCS opponent or whatever, and what do you do when you get to top talent?
But Sam Hartman was pretty good for Notre Dame.
Yeah, he was.
I hate to say it, Riley Leonard feels pretty good. It doesn't feel like, oh, okay, now we're all of a sudden a national title favorite.
Okay, but think about it. Will be Marcus Freeman year 3.
Yeah.
College football playoff expands to 12 teams. How much pressure should he be feeling to get into this top 12? I think substantial.
They have a great chance. The thing with Notre Dame is you've got to look at their schedule because they have such a wacky schedule. They could easily have 3 losses on there again. I like it, though. I think the Riley Leonard thing, I think he's generally considered the number 2 guy in the portal behind Cam Ward. So this is a great get for. Also, his great grandfather went to Notre Dame. He's a Notre Dame fan. We knew this was going to happen. This has been rumored for weeks.
Well, I think it was one day he all of a sudden on social media started following half of the Notre Dame football team.
Yeah. This is not a surprise.
Your big giveaway.
Definitely a good day for Notre Dame, though. I would like to see. I like Marcus Freeman based on nothing except the videos of him in the locker room. This would be fun to see Notre Dame back in the mix.
Yeah, I just think that there's going to be pressure here. And now it's going to, is Riley Leonard going to be able to really lift them? They've got 2 other transfers that are coming in too, I think. A wide receiver and a running back.
But Riley Leonard is nothing like Sam Hartman. I mean, the NFL has been drooling over his physical skills for a while.
Okay, see you guys. Let's get to just a couple of them. Great debate series this week, which is worst contract in the history of sports. How about Brian is in Seattle? Brian, what do you got, pal? Brian. Brian, you there?
For Pujols?
Yes, Perloff said Pujols. Who else you got?
Robinson Cano.
Oh, man, Cano.
Cano's a great one.
Cano was bad. And
Cano, you get the PEDs in the mix.
That
and somehow the Mets were still paying for that.
Still Mets paying
it goes
for
back to you all the time.
I was like, for which team? But no, Seattle obviously gave them over $250 million.
I'm not accusing anyone, but baseball feels like they are prone to bad contracts because guys have these fluke PED-related years.
Okay,
I'm not naming anyone, but I think that's what
I think it's more due to salary, no salary cap, to be honest.
The owners can't control themselves.
But I feel like guys cycle on to get the big contract, and then they cycle off.
Okay, so yeah, that was the thing where the Yankees said this after the fact that maybe they had suspicions about Cano, and that's why they didn't want to give the money. That's a very convenient excuse for them to use, I thought, at the time. But here's the thing about Cano. He was on a Hall of Fame track.
Yeah,
so it's not
steroids.
Well, no, but it's not like he had one good year or something. Like
Right. Oh, like Chris Davis.
Yeah, this wasn't built off of like, wow, look at that outlier year this guy had. Let's give him $100 million. Like,
no, you're absolutely right. You're right. That's a different pattern. But I do feel like there are guys who have these fluke years in baseball, and they're questionable. But going way back, maybe not today.
John's in Arkansas. Hey, John.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I think I got the best one of a single sport, which is hockey, and Rick DiPietro.
Yeah. 15 years, $67.5 million. And I believe Rick was one of those guys who kept getting paid for a long period of time also, right?
I think still
getting paid, right?
I believe so.
John, thank you for that. Rick, who does radio now, but is still getting paid.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only, you know how there's phenoms in hockey?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys know more hockey. He's the only phenom goalie I remember where people were talking about him before he arrived.
Yeah, like they were having pro scouts. I think he went to Boston College, and they were like sending pro scouts over there.
Yeah, he went to BU.
It was a big thing for him. His knees were already shot when they did the deal, so it was weird.
He was a number one overall pick, too. Is that unusual for a goalie?
I think he was the first goalie to be number one pick.
So here's why I still believe that I'm correct here on Gilbert Arenas. Maybe there's no right answer to this, but why I feel confident that my answer is the best out of all of these is because Rick DiPietro is just hurt, right? Like, you're talking about guys like who just, because of playing their sport, the contract was bad. Why I think Gilbert is bad is because of the spectacular flame-out nature of what he did. It was ridiculous that he brought guns into the locker room. It's ridiculous that he got blackballed for this. There was another ridiculous story where he went number 2 in somebody's shoe. I mean, he was insane in the locker room, and basically his career ended because of stuff that wasn't basketball.
But he also got hurt too.
He also had a knee injury.
He had knee injury, so that's why I would push back on the Gilbert thing, because I feel like while yes, it flamed out spectacularly because of the gun situation, that was going to flame out regardless. He was not the same player, clearly, after the microfracture surgery.
Yeah.
Tried to play in the playoffs. He played okay, but clearly wasn't the same. Like, that receipt was coming one way or another, but I don't know if, the situation with the gun thing makes it so much worse, because he was going to flame out regardless.
It ushered it in. It definitely made it worse.
Well, my only issue with Gilbert Arenas is you're talking about the NBA where there's so many bad contracts because there's only 5 starters that they share the revenue, and guys who don't deserve $300 million are getting $300 million.
I know, but it's also the most impactful because you have one guy who's making $111 million. Again, this seems quaint now, but back in, over a decade ago, this was a big deal, and it takes your whole franchise.
I'm looking at the numbers out. Desmond Bain has a 5-year, $207 million contract.
Because the contracts are crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
the money's crazy.
That's what. But the funny thing, I think people forget the number you read for Gilbert Arenas sounds a little more modest now. At the time, it was ridiculous.
I mean, Bobby Bonilla making $25 million in 1991 he was one of the highest paid players in baseball.
I know. It sounds like nothing.
It's crazy.
Now it's like the last guy on the bench.
If you offered Gilbert Arenas his contract to Bradley Beal, he would have spit in your face.
But doesn't it feel like we care the least about NBA contracts? Like, we have so many baseball contract conversations.
Yeah.
NFL is always, he's the highest paid quarterback. He's the highest paid this. It's this guaranteed money. It's Deshaun Watson. Like, I don't remember having very many spirited,
That's because
heated...
you are lucky to not be a Knicks fan, my friend.
Well, isn't it because of the structure of max contracts? There's no wiggle room.
Right. There's no
There's
negotiating.
no decisions to make.
Okay,
you have
but
to pay all these guys the max.
But we should be talking about it more because unlike baseball, like there's no salary cap. There's this luxury tax that you can pay or not pay.
That's baseball.
The NBA is a much more punitive luxury tax that you go on top of. So it's like it does actually mean a lot more.
But if you want to keep a DeMontis Sabonis or any of these players, you have to pay them the max.
It's kind of like slotted in.
Yeah, there's no choice. Right. It feels slotted to me where I'm like, oh, you're paying that much, but they kind of have to. Baseball, it feels much more negotiable.
No, but I feel like in the NBA, in Major League Baseball, if you make a mistake, it's your choice whether or not you want to pay your way out of that mistake.
Right.
Like the Yankees could decide with Giancarlo Stanton, you know what? This was a mistake. We'll just pay him off, and we'll still go sign some other guy. Kind of what they may do with Soto. But we see a lot of teams don't do that. They make those bad signings an excuse to not get other guys. Like, I was a Knicks fan living in the Isaiah Thomas era where Knicks literally couldn't get any other players because they had Othello Harrington making $40 million. You know, they had Eddie Curry making $60 million. And those guys are just stuck. Like, your hard
Didn't he
cap.
give Jerome James $50 million?
Jerome James. Again, we can run through $1 million. We could do a Knicks segment alone.
Honestly, Isaiah Thomas should just get his own segment here.
Yeah, like
it's been multiple franchises.
In the
that
NBA,
he's
you're
tanked.
just screwed. Like, if you get too many of those contracts, you can't actually build a winner. Where in baseball, there are teams who could just spend their way out of issues, and then they're good.
Let's get to Bogus's headlines. What do you got?
I got Draymond Green following up his chokehold of Rudy Gobert with last night's spinning clothesline of Suns forward Yusuf Nurkic. It happened in the third quarter of the Suns' 119-116 win. Green given a flagrant 2, ejected for the third time this season. I think he's sorry.
As you know, I'm not one to apologize for things I meant to do, but I do apologize to Yusuf. Because I didn't intend to hit him. I sell calls with my arms.
I settle calls with... I don't know what he's saying at the end. It sounds like a tough guy.
No. I think he's saying sell cars. And it's like those things that are outside the car dealership that have the wind thing on it. That's what he looked like.
I thought he was saying he sells calls. So he says like they were
sell
tangled.
calls?
So I sell calls with my arms.
Wait,
so
I
like Maggie's theory better.
Yeah,
Can
we make it be that?
She was so confident. Yeah, she's one of those things that blows in the wind.
Draymond Green is Gumby now.
Yeah, I love it.
I came in so confident. I was so sure that was it.
Look at our low rates. Don't defend me.
Yours is better.
I just hope that it actually is
Sunday.
I sell cars with my arms. Can you play it again just to make sure he's not saying that?
I sell calls with my arms.
Yeah, I
He's
sell
definitely
calls.
not saying cars.
But I wish he did.
1877 cars.
0% APR.
Yeah.
Today only.
Yeah, driving sign today.
You work, you drive.
Victor
Hey, guys,
Wembanyama looks like one of those guys. He's one of the tall things.
like Gumby. It's like, guys, it's hot in here, or so are the deals.
And that's what Draymond Green looked like last night.
That's what he did look like.
But he only had one arm swing, which is why it's suspicious. It seemed like he punched a dude. To
All right,
me.
so Maggie, tell me what he said here.
I do apologize to him, and I didn't intend to hit him. So I think you guys have known me long enough. If I intended to do something, I'm not apologizing for it. But I did make contact with him, so I apologize because it wasn't my intention.
I did make contact with him. I mean, I don't understand what he was trying to do.
But it is fair. He definitely did not apologize for punching a dude in the face.
No.
Or stepping on someone.
At least being honest here.
Kicking LeBron in the junk.
And now here's Nurkic.
What's going on with him? I don't know. Personally, I feel like that brother needed help. You know, I'm glad he not trying to choke me, but at the same time, it nothing to do with basketball, man. Like, I'm just out there trying to play basketball, you know, they're swinging. I think we saw that often, but hope he, you know, whatever he got in his life, get better.
So it feels like a throwaway line, but
dive.
it's not. I'm glad he didn't choke me. That was on the table.
Well, that's how you know this is going to lead to another suspension. It definitely will.
It has to. And
10 games.
You know, it's not doing anything. Like
no.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr's like, we're gonna talk to him. It's like, yeah, that's been working for the last day.
I haven't watched the highlight. Nurkic looks like Joe Frazier getting knocked down by George Foreman. Maybe a little over dramatized the fall, which happens in the NBA, believe it or not.
But isn't that part of partially just being stunned by the fact that this guy just swung his full arm across the side of your head and you just drop out of
flopping for a European player is so second nature. They don't even know when they're doing it.
I don't even think that's a European thing anymore. But Perloff is saying this because he feels totally badass now because he's got the eye, the eye bruise over his eye that he picked up in the basketball game.
Basically, now the story is there was a guy on the court who thought he was selling cars and waving his arms randomly, and I walked into his arm waving.
I don't know. The story we heard that you were down for minutes, and it sounded like you were Nancy Kerrigan when you got hit in the face over the weekend.
No, I hit the other guy. I'm very clear. I was the Draymond in this situation.
That's not what we heard.
Trust me. Everyone was mad at me. They said, Perloff, what are you doing? Why are you going for this? It's the last game. Stop being a tryhard. I got that like by 5 different guys.
The Clipper win streak is 5 after a 119-99 rout of the Kings. The Lakers lost in Dallas 127-125. The Celtics now 11-0 at home after downing the Cavs 120-113. And Oklahoma City voters have approved a 1% sales tax lasting 6 years to pay for a new arena for the Thunder. The deal includes them staying in the city until at least 2050. Women's college hoops last night. 7th-ranked LSU destroyed McNeese State 133-44. The Tigers scored 47 unanswered points from late first quarter into the third. That included winning the second quarter 30-0. The St. Louis Blues fired head coach Craig Berube last night after losing their 4th game in a row, 6-4 to the Red Wings. The team is 4 years removed from a Stanley Cup. Berube won 206 games total in his 6 seasons, and now maybe he'll sell cars. Maggie, back to you.
Bogus, thank you so much. And just by the way, whenever Perloff now tries to bring up his basketball runs as to, draw a correlation between himself and a professional athlete, just remember, apparently, that this run, you get chastised for trying too hard. He was called a try-hard at the game.
Yeah, you're not supposed to play defense. I mean, it's not that kind of run.
Right.
It's like the NBA.
Sure.
Just like the NBA.
Just like the NBA.
So you're not checked out like Nikola Jokic is what you're saying.
No, I'm like Klay Thompson. I'm hanging on around the 3-point line for dear life.
Okay.
Just trying
How about Jokic?
Who's winning the in-season tournament in your runs?
Luckily, I've told you about the real problem with the runs. We have Michael Jordan in the runs. We have one guy who's better than everybody else.
Why does he keep showing up? Just to make himself feel better?
Yeah, probably. I think he enjoys the camaraderie. Yeah, I mean,
you guys should start being mean to him, and then he'll leave.
Is he the same age group as you guys?
What's that?
Is he the same age group? He's not younger, right?
There are a lot of guys who are young. No, he's way younger than me, but there are a lot of guys his age. So it's not that he's 6'6" and can jump through the roof, and he's the only guy who dunks in a half-court set that I've ever really played with, except Kobe Bryant.
Wait, is this? Yeah, and you guys were teenagers, right, with Kobe, but. Is this the kind of thing where it's like Adam Sandler when he's Billy Madison playing dodgeball against all the first graders?
A little bit. It's like in the movie, I don't know if you've seen Wes Anderson's movie Rushmore when Bill Murray blocks the shots kids.
Yeah.
Bill blocks the kid's shot. It's a little bit like that. If I ever have to cover him, sometimes he'll take pity on me. I think he misses shots on purpose when I'm covering him because he likes me. It's gotten that like sympathy misses.
Just like the NBA, guys.
Yes, it's just
sympathy
like the NBA.
misses.
Perloff is tall, but when you play in any game where everybody's kind of average size between 5'9" and 6 foot, and there's one guy who's 6'6", you would think that person is Yao Ming. Like they can dominate a pickup game like you've never seen before by being 6'6", and you're like, oh, this guy was in the NBA. He'd be, again, guarding Bradley Beal.
Thank you, Bogish. See you guys on the phones. A lot more to get to, and we are forecasting the future for one NFL team who clearly needs our help. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Are we a show that plays Justin Bieber? Yes, we are. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Welcome aboard. Great debate question today. Worst contracts in the history of sports, inspired by Shohei Ohtani. We're not saying his contract's bad. It was just contracts have been in the news. Our pal James is in Modesto. James wants to get in on a conversation we had a while ago, Perloff, which was you brought it to our attention. Apparently, there's two ways to shower.
Yes.
You can either face the faucet or you face away from the faucet. And if you do one, you don't do the other. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, you guys get me all excited talking about this shower stuff, after a long day's hard work, I love them showers. But, to get my mind off the Raiders, hey, anything but that.
So,
but,
wait, James,
I like
when you're thinking about the Raiders, the future of the Raiders, and you're thinking about it in the shower, are you facing the faucet or are you facing away?
I like to put my hands up against the wall and get it really hot and just put it right down on my head and just put my head down and just let the let the stuff just drain away, man. All the bad feelings with the Raiders just go right down the old drain there. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, that's healthy. That is a healthy way to think. I'm serious. Like, you got to let it go.
Yeah, just let it go, because this game tomorrow night's probably going to be the same as Sunday with, Stick and O'Connell. We're probably going to even see a worse game than that. It's probably going to end up in 0-0. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. It's Chargers-Raiders, and I'll tell you what, because, James, I'm going to, empathize with you for a minute, because there's nothing worse than when your team is not good and, playoffs are a pipe dream or whatever, and they keep putting you on national TV in these primetime spots. It's like, just let me play at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. I just want to hide.
Yeah, they didn't think it was going to be that way though. I'm sure when they scheduled the game, it's Chargers Raiders, a Thursday night game. It's probably towards the end of the year, it's going to be meaning something, But hey, bad things happen. But hey, we're going to try anyway. We're going to go for it. But anyway, then you guys bring up bad contracts, and I started having flashbacks of 2007 with Jamarcus Russell in 6 years and $61 million. That guy did nothing for us but, invent the purple drink. I'm like going, oh, my goodness, man. You guys are killing me.
I'm sorry, James.
I want to find that shower. I'm looking for that shower now. I got to let some more stuff just run down the drain.
Well, good thing you got the right attitude. We didn't mean for that to specifically get under your skin, so apologies. Jamarcus Russell apparently could really run up a tab at Cheesecake Factory. That's what we heard. That's a shame.
He could afford it.
And that was before the contracts were slotted.
Yeah, that was they had to change the NFL because of guys like Jamarcus Russell
and Sam Bradford, guys like
Bradford
that.
was better than Bradford didn't bust out completely.
That's true, but $50 million before you get on the field feels like a lot. Will is in Las Vegas. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, guys. Somebody already stole my thunder. They took their Robinson Cano contract.
Okay.
I just want to say I love you guys. I've been listening since we switched over from DA. But in defense of Gabe, in California, our shows, I've been listening to a certain Bay Area radio station. They lost their morning show, so we just got switched over to last week.
Okay.
I've been listening to you the whole time, and we love you. So.
Oh, thank you, Will. I'm just going to put you on hold because my eardrums are currently falling out of my ears because some kind of high-pitched noise was behind him. Did you get that too?
I heard, but no, I could hear Will.
But that was really nice of you to say.
It, buddy.
Thank you so much. And we did not know that we just got a new affiliate. Sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know. So welcome to everyone in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Wait till you hear our Brock Purdy takes.
Wow, listen, we love Brock Purdy. I love Brock Purdy.
Great story. Not the MVP.
I'm getting people are killing me, Maggie, for saying that it's not bad to be a game manager. Do you want a guy who can't manage a game? Why? If Brock Purdy's a game manager, great. Give him the MVP anyway.
Coming up, a question about the NFL that seems like it doesn't have an answer, but it does. We'll do that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. It is a great debate Wednesday here on the Maggie and Perloff Show. Inspired by Shohei Ohtani, we are asking, what is the worst sports contract of all time? We've got a lot of great responses, everything from Charlie Weiss to Jamarcus Russell. We gave ours. I said Gilbert Arenas, Perloff.
Albert Pujols with the Angels.
EJ.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day, Bobby Bonilla.
And Carlos.
Yankees, Jacoby Ellsbury.
And a lot more, so keep them coming at 855-2124-CBS. But it feels like there's a question that's kind of emerged from this NFL season, Perloff. And it's seems like maybe unanswerable, which is which team is the best in the AFC? Like, who do you actually have confidence? We just saw the Miami Dolphins lose badly on Monday, a game to the Tennessee Titans. We've seen the Chiefs lose, obviously, to the Bills. We've seen the Chargers now lose their quarterback. We've seen Jacksonville's defense look totally mortal. We have seen the entire AFC North basically decimated except for Baltimore. This is not an easy answer.
I think it is. I think there's one team that stands out above the rest. It's the Baltimore Ravens conference to lose because there's something very, very unusual happening this year in Baltimore. It's not new offensive coordinator Todd Monken. It's not Lamar taking his game to the next level. It's the fact that the Ravens are healthy. This never happens. This is a time of year when their depth chart reads injured, injured, injured.
Yeah.
Now, they lost Mark Andrews earlier in the season, but you saw Isaiah Likely on Sunday with a big touchdown. They are uncharacteristically healthy, including the guy who's never healthy, Ronnie Stanley, their left tackle. So I think that Baltimore's health makes them a strong favorite because we know the healthy team gets there.
Well,
that's just the way it works.
The one person who they did lose, right, was Kyle Hamilton, but it turns out he's going to be week to week, right? And it's going to be not as big of a deal as you may have thought. That would have been a big loss.
Normally, there's 7 starters gone by this point of the year, and normally Lamar is out by this point. The last 2 seasons, Lamar has missed the last month. So this is a completely different Baltimore team.
Well, and I think, though, part of that is the new offense. Like, you're saying it's not related. I think it definitely is. Like, I think you're seeing not just the new offense, but the upgrade in weapons for Lamar Jackson. He is definitely benefiting right now from having a better receiving core than he has in years past.
But how does that explain the running backs all of a sudden be healthy and the line all of a sudden being healthy?
Well, I don't think the running backs J.K. Dobbins is still recovering from an ACL? He's out there with Aaron Rodgers every Tuesday. So, you're lucky here. You've got, who is it? Edwards?
Well, got Gus Edwards.
Gus the Bus.
And Keaton Mitchell all of a sudden coming out of nowhere.
Great.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about J.K. Dobbins. But generally, this is a way healthier, and their defense has stayed really healthy, too. It's setting up really nicely for them.
Now, the one thing about the Baltimore Ravens, yes, they are playing really well, but they certainly don't have an easy rest of the way. So they have to go at Jacksonville, at San Francisco.
That one's tough.
Miami.
And?
Pittsburgh at the end. But maybe Trubisky's back for or not Trubisky. Maybe Kenny Pickett's back, although I don't know if it's a good match.
Talking about a team that's not healthy. Jacksonville's struggling. Miami just lost Connor Williams. They are definitely struggling with health.
He's their center.
Yeah, I think that Miami those are not going to be tough for Baltimore. I think the Rams are tougher than both those teams.
But the 2 games on the road, Jacksonville and San Francisco, the San Francisco game is going to be very telling.
I count that as an L. So they're basically going to come into the postseason at 13-4. I still think that could get you the number 1 seed. The Chiefs have a really easy schedule. The best they could get to is 12-5. I'm not sure. I would say the Ravens by far, and you give yours too. I have a sneaky dark horse as well.
Okay, so I'm still going to go with the Chiefs. I called them whiners. They are whiners. They have not handled the whole situation with the Kadarius Toney offsides with any even ounce of class at all. However, I do think this is a rock bottom moment for them. And I also think that Patrick Mahomes getting so emotional on the sideline, maybe this finally wakes these guys up like out of a daze in terms of the wide receivers. Like, Patrick Mahomes is killing himself over here, and you guys are losing ball games for him. Like, you got the best quarterback in the league. Don't blow it. Don't don't fall back on your laurels. Don't be satisfied with the fact that basically this core won a Super Bowl last year. This dude's going for way more than that. Like, he's going for way more than just be a 2-time Super Bowl champion, right? He's got the best shot of catching Brady of anybody, if anyone's ever going to do it.
He's clearly not comfortable losing a football game, which I like.
Well, but you have the defense that's already been good and continues to be good. And if this receiver core can just get on and, I don't know. I don't know if they're not taking it seriously. I don't know if this gives permission for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid to start getting, a little more hard ass on everyone.
I hear you. I just wish they had made a move at receiver at the trade deadline, because we saw Justin Watson cost them a game. Tony's cost them 2 games. Sky Moore's been inconsistent. MVS clearly can't get a flag.
But here's the weird thing about this. Basically the same receiver core won the Super Bowl last year and Kelsey is still there, and he has disappeared a little bit in second halves, but he's still Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it's a great point. I don't know what's different. The receiving core just feels worse this year.
We never talk about a Super Bowl hangover with them, because I think on the defensive side of the ball, it's been so much better. It's like, oh, this isn't a Super Bowl hangover. This is even better.
Actually, and I feel like Isaiah Pacheco is a much more effective. He was good last year, but he's really established now, so they can control the ball a little more when they want to. It is weird how they are not explosive. I think it's the drops. I saw it, thank God, against my Eagles. Nobody could catch anything. Even this game the other day against the Bills, there were some key drops.
Definitely.
They just wear gloves, dude. What are you doing?
If it was only that easy. But maybe we aren't talking about a Super Bowl hangover with that one specific position group. I don't know. Because does Kadarius Toney, who, is obviously a bit of a wild card, I think that's kind of being nice to call him a lot of other more unsavory things, but maybe he feels like vindicated that he won a Super Bowl. And I don't know, maybe these guys feel like, all right, mission accomplished. I've won a Super Bowl.
Okay, so I have the Ravens, you have the Chiefs. Were you tempted? Did the thought enter your mind, because it did mine, to put your Buffalo Bills in this mix?
Absolutely not. Now, here's the thing. I appreciate the win last week.
Yeah.
It was an extremely tough week for the Bills with all of the stuff coming out about Sean McDermott, the 9/11 story. I mean, it was just, it could not be worse and embarrassing for the Buffalo. And that was felt from an off-field standpoint. I mean, those kind of exposés, they're the worst when the curtain gets pulled back like that from a team. However, they won this game, but basically Kansas City lost this game. You know the distinction. And anybody who thinks that the Bills are going to win out has not been watching this team all season. There's no, what indication would you possibly have that this team could win out? Why? Because somehow Kansas City screwed up worse than they screwed up at the end of the game? That's not dominant win by any stretch. So you got the Dallas Cowboys coming in.
That's the only possible loss. I'll bet you anything they win their last 3 games. But Dallas,
there's 4 games left.
I'm saying the Dallas is the only possible loss. Then it's 3 wins. So they're going to get to 10-7. They're in the playoffs, Maggie.
Do you know there are 10-7 teams, guys, who don't make the playoffs?
But
that happens.
Isn't the AFC changing its shape a little bit where 10-7 will probably get you in?
I don't know, because half of the conference is either 6-7, 7 or 6. Everything's so bunched up, and they have no tiebreakers. They totally botched this entire season, where Denver gets the tiebreaker over them, where Pittsburgh would get the tiebreaker over them. They didn't play Pittsburgh, but you know what I mean, because of conference record and other things.
I'll go one step further. If they beat Dallas this weekend, and I've been pretty good on the MVP race, Josh Allen's moving in the top 3 with a chance to win it all.
They're 11th right now in the AFC. It's not even like they're hovering around 8th or 9th. I mean, this is a lot of teams they have to jump. So it's Dallas, then you're at the Chargers. That's a Thursday game. Then you have New England. Then you're at Miami. And by the way, that Miami game, the last game of the season, you don't think that's going to be a dogfight of a game? And that's in South Beach.
Well, just the fact that I think you're, maybe it's because you're cynical, maybe you know them better, but you're underestimating the fact that they're 3-point favorites over Dallas, who is the hot team in the league right now.
You cannot follow Vegas when it comes to Buffalo. They do not know how to handicap this team.
I'm sure their against spread record is close to 500. Vegas knows it is, and actually I looked at it recently. You're right, they haven't covered a little more, but they're still close to 500. There's a reason. I think
Remember
you're
they were
underestimating.
14-point favorites against the Giants? How'd that go?
Dallas at Los Angeles with Easton Stick, at New England, and then
home for New England.
Right, home for New England. But you have to realize Miami is taking on water here. They have real issues.
So
I think Buffalo's in great position to make a run here, and I think 10 wins will get you in.
855-212-4CBS.
Might win you the division.
855-212-4227.
I mean, Miami's schedule is brutal.
I get it.
I didn't know about the tiebreakers. That's a big deal. But Miami might have only one more win left.
So Miami did lose their center for the season on Monday. They now have 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen who they started the season with are now hurt. I mean, that's just terrible luck.
Yeah, and it's interesting for them. They face the Jets this weekend, and I feel like that game is very dangerous for Miami. I mean, we saw Miami just lose to Tennessee.
Little Zach Wilson love?
No, it has nothing to do with him. It's a defense against Miami with no line. That's a really scary proposition. I think that the Jets could overwhelm Tua. Tua can't run, so what's he going to do if the Jets get to him?
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Who do you think is the team to beat in the AFC right now? Rude Dog says Ravens are the only team I believe in the AFC. Now, it's funny, though, because the Ravens, what's the knock? Well, Lamar Jackson hasn't been past the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, they've never really – the last couple of years they haven't been healthy. If they get the number 1 seed, they get to the second round, home games. This is and a healthy defense playing at its top of its game. Yeah, this really feels different. And the other thing is Kansas City being down just a little bit. I agree with you, by the way. I'm not counting out the Chiefs. I mean, you'd be crazy to do that.
Maybe this is finally time where they can get honest with each other. Maybe it takes Patrick Mahomes basically crying and have to be held back, from what was he really going to do to that ref?
Oh, I think there's one big move. They do not. If they put Tony back on the field, they get what they deserve.
Well, but that's Andy Reid, right?
Well, he benched him earlier in the season. He couldn't stick with it, and I think now he will.
855-212-4CBS. It's also Wednesday, so we are asking for your take on the worst contracts in the history of sports. We've gotten a lot of good ones here from the chat, from callers. Our own Andrew Kaplan saying Charlie Weiss. We got a little Jimbo Fisher in there, a little Jamarcus Russell.
I saw a good one here in the Twitch chat. Otis Miller says Urban Meyer.
Oh, bad.
And that's
Wait,
one of
what was
those
the Urban
contracts
Meyer
where it's not
contract?
even like I don't know if he got a lot more money than the usual new coach, but just bringing him in was enough. They could have paid him $1, and that would have been a terrible contract.
No, but Urban Meyer, isn't he in litigation now to get the money back? It was like fired for cause because he kicked the kicker, allegedly.
You could have done Gruden, too, probably John Gruden.
That's what I was thinking.
Another
But
bad
that being
one.
said, I'm sure colleges would pay a lot of money to get Urban Meyer in right now.
So
Funnily enough.
Urban was $12 million a year with the Jags.
Oh, that is a lot.
Wow.
And I see why he's fighting to get that money back.
There's still $50 million remaining on his contract. Yikes.
That being said, I really think college football teams would line up to get Urban Meyer right now.
Yeah, which is saying, and maybe John Gruden might end up even coaching college this
Gruden,
offseason.
I think
There's
Gruden's
been
got a
rumors.
much tougher path.
Yeah, which is, I mean, weird. But the thing is I was reading some more details. Speaking of people who are stealing money from the Jags, remember we talked about that executive that stole $22 million over the course of 4 years? Yeah, apparently this was like the most beloved guy in the office.
Oh, that's always how to get you.
He was just hiding in plain sight. Like, we never saw any watches. They did more reporting on this from The Athletic. No watches. Never saw any of the ostentatious stuff. I guess when he took the private jet, it clearly wasn't with anybody. It was like friends. It wasn't with anyone from the office. They said, like, the only red flag was he was driving a Tesla, and that was it.
Okay.
Everyone
well, he's
loved him.
environmentally conscious.
Environmentally conscious crook.
Luckily, there's really no money to steal around here, as far as I know.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, it doesn't matter who. That's why nobody's nice around here, because like you don't have to hide for what.
People walking by give us money.
Yeah.
That's why no one's nice around here. No one's hiding anything.
Hide for what?
Yeah, there's nothing to steal. So
I mean,
be
maybe
your real self.
Maybe on some other parts of the company, there's money to what is it called when you steal from your
Embezzle?
company? Embezzle. Yeah, there is no money in our budget to embezzle.
It's like we sound like aspiring white collar criminals. Like, you guys are looking for money to embezzle.
Can we get $9 to buy Jell-O for a bet that Perloff lost? Sorry, not in the budget.
Meanwhile, our first bet of 2024, the wrestling singlet.
Oh boy,
it's going to be happening. Ooh,
God, I blame the committee for this. I'm actually in the Florida lawsuit. Why could I have to have Michigan beat Alabama to avoid wearing a singlet? Why couldn't Florida State have been that number 4 team, who probably would have beaten Michigan?
Because the College Football Playoff Committee are great fans of the Maggie and Perloff Show.
Yep.
And they were like, you know what? If Florida State goes out against Michigan, they're going to get crushed. And nobody wants to see that. We want to make Perloff sweat. So let's give him the greatest college football coach of all time, and let's see what happens.
I'll tell you what. Put a spy on both sides of the field against Milroe. That's what Georgia started doing in the second half. Just spy that dude.
Well, listen, Connor Stallion said people working for him all over the country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what you meant.
Connor Stallions is gone. Jim Harbaugh, if you have room on your staff, I'm available. I'll wear a fake mustache. Done it before.
Do you think Connor Stallions has Alabama signs? Do you think at this point you think he would have got it before he got fired? Like, did he look ahead and said, okay, who are the teams we could be seeing in the college football playoff? Do you think maybe he has some signals from Alabama?
I mean, if he's doing his job, he does.
Yeah.
And I think this guy was doing his job.
Here's the sign.
He was like the GOAT of signs.
Here's our sign. We have 4 top 10 picks on our offensive line, and we're about to mow you over. Alabama is not exactly the trickiest offense right now. They're just great at running the ball. God, it's such a... And by the way, anyone who plays Michigan knows to change the signs, right?
855 TCU knew, that's true. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, so we got a lot for you on the burners here. We've got the worst sports contracts of all time. We've got who is the team to beat in the AFC. And we also have one more thing that we want to bring your attention to, which is an initiative that we have to the end of the year. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio and Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio is where you can watch the show. Now, you can always listen to us, and we love that, and it's awesome. But we are in the giving spirit of the holiday season, we are asking for every subscriber to our YouTube and Twitch channel. We will donate $1 to charity for every one subscriber. Perloff, myself, our boss, Spike Eskin, is in on this as well, and we are donating it to the Boys and Girls Club.
Awesome cause. And I would say get on YouTube fast because my cool black eye is fading quickly, Maggie. This might not be here by the new year. I'm trying to walk around, look like a tough guy, intimidate. It's not working, though.
I mean, we could give you another black eye.
I don't know.
I don't know. That was.
When you're saying it was a black eye, I was actually going to tell the people that it was our CGI budget that got you looking like that.
This was the perfect hit, though, because I got the cool black eye. I didn't really feel any pain. I don't know. I mean, you could slug me in the right eye right now.
I don't think I'd do it justice.
It caught perfectly.
It really did.
It's kind of like, not like Draymond Green on Yusuf Nurkic, which was, of course, is now in show parlance.
He was selling cars.
Say it proudly, Maggie.
She did not want to say that.
What was Draymond Green doing when he swung his arm and struck Suns big man Yusuf Nurkic? He was
selling cars.
He was selling cars, people. He was selling cars like a big inflatable guy outside of a car dealership.
I thought he said selling cars. He said selling calls.
You didn't just think it. You were positive he said selling cars.
I swooped in like Batman with that one. I was like, have no fear, everybody. I've got it.
You were so confident that even though I'd heard the cut and made the cut, I still questioned. I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's right. Maybe I don't like.
We're at fault, EJ. I immediately was like, selling cars. That makes sense. Interesting analogy by Draymond Green. Huh.
You don't understand. When I get really confident about something, I could sell this to anybody. Like, I will make you think that you didn't hear it correctly. It's part of what makes me a good talk show host. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in again. Hit subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. You're doing it for a good cause. All you do is hit subscribe. We take care of the rest. Donate to the Boys and Girls Club. And we're taking your calls on the worst sports contracts of all time. 855-212-4227. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. We're asking for the worst sports contracts of all time, loosely inspired by Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
his contract's not bad, but...
Well, we don't think it's bad. It could end up bad. Because the one thing about all these contracts, no one knew they were bad at the time. Nobody thought that. People did not know Albert Pujols was bad. Pujols became the warning shot. That's my choice for future contracts for aging sluggers. Be careful. Baseball players hit a wall at 33. When Bryce Harper signed that massive deal, everyone said, oh, in his 30s, he's going to decline. So that's why I think Pujols is symbolic, and I feel bad because I'm actually a big Albert Pujols fan. He's awesome, but he signed a bad deal.
Let's go to Andy's in Michigan, has one we had not heard of or thought of. Andy, how are you?
Hey, pretty good, guys. You know, when I think of worst contracts, this isn't monetarily the worst, but Matt Flynn, when he had that 6-touchdown game or whatever ridiculous thing he had against Detroit, he had offered $19.5 million for Seattle, and he just flopped.
He didn't really.
He got beaten out by Russell Wilson in training camp. Yeah, Andy, it's a good one. Oh, sorry, dude. I thought you were done.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing because he never played. He might have been fine. We have no idea. He probably could have been good, but he never got a chance.
It's just so funny. So 3 years, $19.5 million. Now that's like backup money.
That's a bad backup.
That's what Jake
deal.
Browning's going to get next.
Definitely. We got some more in the chat. Mel Tucker. I mean, that one's looking pretty bad. That's one from Jim in the chat. We also had, let me find out who it was, said it. Albert Hainsworth was another one.
It's another big one.
Couldn't pass the conditioning test.
I feel like college football coaches have their own category because of the ridiculous buyouts. Those are
Charlie Weiss was what our Andrew Kaplan.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Gus Malzahn is the crazy buyout. Jimbo Fisher is insane. So they have their own category because to pay a guy to go away like that is nuts.
Here's the thing. What are we going to do when college football players get paid a lot and are bad? How are we going to handle that as the media?
Well, what do you mean?
So say
I don't think it's a problem because his career is so short in college.
But say it's big time transfer.
Yeah.
Goes to a school and say we get to know and get a little more transparency on some of these big NIL deals. And say it's, whatever quarterback, say it's Riley Leonard goes to Notre Dame, and say we find out he got $4 million and he stinks next year.
Well,
are we going to criticize him more because of the money?
No, college.
Like how we do with pros?
How could he stay? I mean, the only thing that a college football quarterback can do, every college quarterback is productive. It's just a matter of getting injured, right? Like you don't bust. And even Kyle McCord was the bust for Ohio State. He had 26 touchdowns and 6 picks. College football, it's easy to put up numbers.
Okay, or say they just really disappoint. I mean, there has to be guys who don't put up the numbers. You think they're going to, and they're not going to.
Give me one.
Will Levis's last year at Kentucky?
But everyone knew Liam Cohen left, and they still were a pretty good team. I mean,
I'm just saying, you're giving me somebody who, in theory, could have made a lot of money. And Will Levis now, I mean, he's coming off a signature win. That's just the first person.
I just don't think there's enough time to really hamstring yourself. Like, all these contracts.
If it's 1 year.
Nobody's going to, if you sign a 1 year deal in the NFL, nobody's going to really kill the Giants for the Daniel Jones deal because it's 2 years and you're out. These contracts are bad because you're stuck for a lifetime, like Bobby Bonilla.
Oh, people are definitely killing the Giants for the Daniel Jones deal.
But it's nothing like the Deshaun Watson deal, which hamstrings you for 5 years.
Oh, but I'm not saying it's the worst contract ever. Yeah. I'm just asking, how are we going to handle it if guys in college are getting paid a lot? Say it's a wide receiver who's getting paid $2 million and has a huge drop, something like that.
$2 million? That's nothing.
Well, I'm just saying, before you would not really, like, yes, of course, there's always the yahoos out there and the idiots who are sending death threats to college kickers and stuff like that. I mean, you're just a loser if you're doing something like that. But I'm talking about, we generally don't criticize the college players like we do the professional players. And a lot of it was because, A, they're young, but B, because they're not getting paid. And now they are going to be getting paid a lot. Does that open the door for them to be criticized by the media?
One thing is we don't know the deals. They're all secret.
Once we do. I mean, this is going to go towards more transparency.
If you think never with NIL, that will never be transparent. You think if players get a salary.
I mean, who knows where all this is going?
The second you hear an NIL deal, did you see that Marvin Harrison's getting $25 million to come back to Ohio State rumor? Guess what? It turned out to be a total lie, of course.
Yeah, but I think Congress is going to get involved. The NIL deals are different from state to state.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
If it gets to be this more federal law, I mean, listen, transparency is better for everything, right?
I have a solution. Pay the players anyway.
Well, for sure. MJ is in Florida. MJ, how are you?
How you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
I actually have two, but I'm going to go with the one that I jumped in my truck and heard this discussion, and the first one that came immediately to my mind was the A-Rod deal when he went to Texas, because that was kind of like the biggest, deal. I can't remember what year it was. And I think that's what skewed everything. Then you got the Pujols and all the other ones. And the other one I was going to mention real quick, I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder, and I'll let you talk after this, is the Joe Flacco deal. Have fun.
Joe, I know, who got the all-time contract year.
Yeah, I mean,
Super Bowl MVP. It can't get any better. And he got paid, and he never even got close to the Super Bowl.
You kind of had to pay him.
Yeah. A-Rod, $252, right? The 10-year deal. The thing is, though, about A-Rod is he still won MVPs when he was in Texas.
He was a baller in Texas.
That's what I'm saying. The team didn't win anything, but it's not like he didn't live up to does anyone live up to $252 million? But he was good in Texas.
He was the best player not named Barry Bonds in baseball. He just was on a terrible team.
So you think when you're losing 9-3 and hit a solo home run in the 7th inning, that makes you a baller?
No, that's not.
Dude, come on. A-Rod's was overinflated stats. The guy had no winning.
No, those Texas teams scored. It was that they couldn't pitch. They were not.
Yeah, I know. He had a bunch of meaningless home runs. His stats have always been empty.
Okay, while we do Daily Deion, EJ, can you look up A-Rod's clutch stats just for the years he was with the Texas Rangers? You can find that on BaseballReference.com. Let's get to Daily Deion.
Daily.
Do you believe that?
Deion.
You believe that?
Well, Deion Sanders Perloff is getting the full college treatment now after his first season at the University of Colorado. There is now a class that is named after Deion. It's called Prime Time Public Performance and Leadership. Call letters CMCI 4021. Primetime Public Performance and Leadership. It will focus on helping college athletes explore how to manage their time in college, prepare for their careers, manage their celebrity, identify when to best speak into their profit center, advocate for worthy causes, coordinate with sports agents, and how to interact with journalists and the media.
Love it. I'd
do
sign
too.
up for that in a heartbeat. This is a new trend, by the way. All the big schools now have NIL classes. Nebraska has an NIL major. So this is right along there. But just put Deion's name on it makes it the most popular class ever.
Well, I think it's only for student athletes, right? That's what it said. It's for student
Oh,
athletes.
can you do that?
I don't know.
By the way, you guys, about 2 weeks ago, you guys were poo-pooing the future of Deion Sanders. Are you ready to fully reverse on that?
Poo-pooing the future?
Just saying, like, he has no chance to build it this way, and he clearly does.
With the transfer portal?
How many games have they won since the season ended?
Do you see the offensive line? They're gearing up for the Big 12 next year. They're coming. They're coming.
He said they were here. He said they were coming with pass. Now they're still coming. Now I'm confused.
They're coming. You said he couldn't build an offensive line. It sure sounds like he built an offensive line in a hurry.
All right, see me in October.
All right, I'm just saying, a lot of 5 stars, a lot of transfers coming in on that offensive line. And it's funny because I was the original. Oh my God, we're overblowing the Deion thing, but Deion sure seems to have figured out some things this offseason.
The class is Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 6:15. Gosh, I hated those night classes. Andrew Bogish is here. He's got headlines.
Hey, Maggie. So Draymond Green, not the only big name, ejected from an NBA game last night.
I saw the official kind of point as if he was ejecting Jokic from the game. That can't be right, can it? Did he get ejected from the game? Wow. This happened against the Pistons a few weeks back as well for Denver.
Now listen.
Oh, that's
terrible.
That doesn't seem fair at all. That's excessive.
That's excessive.
And that's Bulls TV, the opposition, saying that Jokic should not have been tossed from this game. He was arguing a non-call, apparently said one bad word to official Musa Dagger, and got the boot immediately.
But I crossed the line, I understand, but sometimes that word doesn't cross the line.
Yeah, so we need consistency. If the word either crosses the line or it doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't think the word was
spell
shampoo.
it or say it out.
You guys ever seen Hoosiers where Gene Hackman
No, what's
says,
that?
It's a basketball movie
Oh, okay.
where Gene Hackman says to the official, kick me out because he wants Dennis Hopper's character to coach.
Yeah.
Jokic clearly said, kick me out. I got a race in the 7th year in Serbia. Do you think if there's any player that doesn't mind getting kicked out early, it's definitely Jokic in a December game?
I think the one flaw, though, in your theory is the time difference.
Yeah,
In an
I
NBA
thought
game,
about that.
It's overnight in Serbia. I assume the horses are sleeping at like
it's
3 in the
24
morning.
hours
Just
all
nonstop.
around.
Do you have any idea when the racing goes on in Serbia? No.
Wait, meanwhile, the best detail of that game last night was why all the people in Chicago were incensed that Jokic got kicked out is because it was Serbian Heritage Night. They kicked him out in the second quarter. It's like, what are you guys doing? This is what we sell tickets for Serbian. Apparently, there's a big Serbian population in Chicago.
Yes, major.
Yeah.
And they lost the game. The Bulls did 114-106. I'll also point out the Bulls have retired numbers in their arena. They're also now beginning a Ring of Honor. And Michael Jordan's going to go into that one twice by himself. And the entire 95-96 team is being enshrined. So I don't know why you need both of those things.
Oh, I like that. Jordan by himself.
No, why you need to retire numbers and then have a Ring of Honor. So there's like 3 different permanent Jordan
as there
memories
should
in the
be.
building. I guess.
I mean, I think he would make the cut for the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Here's my question. So they're going to put in the 95-96 team.
Yes.
Are they going to then put in every team? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the 91-92 and then go?
I don't know. I don't know what their plans are, but there's going to be a lot of redundancy because Pippen is also going in by himself and as a member of that team. But Tony Kukoc only goes in as a member of that team for now. So, again, it's overkill.
My understanding is the reason they're putting in that team specifically is because it's the 72-10 championship run. They're not going to put like the 91 and 93 team because they weren't as good.
But Kukoc probably doesn't make the cut for Ring of Honor as an individual, or did he play enough years there?
I think he should.
He should.
He
Yeah.
should, right? He's
Yeah.
been pretty good.
Okay,
It's just
so
weird.
Yeah.
here's another question. So Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, all-time great duo.
Yeah.
Little awkward these days because Pippen's
you think?
ex-wife is dating Michael Jordan's oldest son.
They're getting married if they're not married already.
Okay. So, when these things happen, like you go into a Ring of Honor, you generally have your family there.
Well, Scottie Pippen's also been ripping Michael Jordan for the last 2 years, ever since basically the Last Dance came out.
Right. So what happens? Are we burying the hatchet here? Or is
One of those guys is not showing up, and
can't be Jordan.
I don't think it's going to be him.
Jordan has to show up.
Yeah, Scotty can't go to his ex-wife's wedding, no matter who it is to.
Well, the wedding. I'm talking about
no, right. My bad. I was stuck on.
When do you want someone to die?
No, I'm still stuck on the guys. Wait, the headline is Michael Jordan's son marrying Scottie Pippen's ex-wife.
Yes.
I think they both have to show up. Obviously, you need Jordan, but it feels so weird without Pippen.
It does feel weird without Pippen.
Look, it wasn't until, 2 minutes before Michael Jordan's name was announced. We didn't know he was going to be there for the 75th anniversary announcement.
Yeah, I mean, that's one guy.
He walked in at the last second. He was at NASCAR.
Well, he's an owner.
You really don't know with Jordan. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mystery, but I can't see Scottie Pippen being okay with not going to this.
Yeah, but it's like, does Marcus Jordan, is he there with Larsa? See, if I were her, I'd bow out.
Well, no. First of all, if you're putting
the opening of an envelope, she'll be anywhere.
If you're putting the whole team out there, then you don't have room for family because you have the 13 players. You're not going to have 13 players and each one with 4. There's not going to be 300 people on the court.
It's Michael Jordan's family.
No,
I'm not saying in the court. What about in a suite? What about whatever?
I mean, they could be in the building, but I think they could separate them enough.
But also, they're going to be honoring the 96 team as well. So I'm sure there's going to be a team picture. Like he's going to have to. Yeah. They're going to have to cross paths at some point.
Right, forget the families. It's just Jordan and Pippen together. But maybe this will bring them together, and everyone can break bread together.
Zero chance.
Yeah, this is the Bulls fan, by the way. He's wearing a Jordan jersey. Carlos,
yeah, wearing it for a reason. No shot that's happening.
Because of the ex-wife?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can't have your kid marry your partner's ex-wife. That's something that's written on TV. There's no way
Does this happen?
By the way, she's like a reality star. That's what she does, Larsa. But the other thing, though, is can you really control your kid? Wouldn't you just be happy for your kid?
Right. Jordan can't marry Larsa Pippen, but what's he supposed to do? Like lock his son in the basement?
I mean, teach him the ropes. Like, clearly the apple fell far from the tree in this aspect.
Oh, it's like bad parenting, you're saying. The fact that he would even entertain it is bad parenting.
Correct. Like, there are plenty of fish in the sea. You happen to go for I don't know how
Larsa?
close we're your uncle's wife. Like, there's plenty of women to choose from.
It's kind of like Greek mythology at this point.
I don't know, Carlos. I think love is not a controllable thing.
I don't think that's love. We really, I know that you guys are suckers for love. Is that a love thing? Is that a real connection here?
But Carlos, if Marcus then goes to Mike and says, look, I'm in love with this woman, and either you're going to support us or get out of my life. I mean, what's Mike supposed to do at that point?
Bye.
You got to support your kid.
Bye.
No, you got to support your kid.
No, you can. No. Sometimes your kid is wrong. That's what's wrong with parents. Sometimes it's okay to tell your kid you're wrong.
Was there anything in Michael Jordan?
That doesn't register.
Is there anything in Michael Jordan's past that makes you think he would be a good parent, by the way? There's not a lot. I mean, the guy was not.
Wow.
He was not Mr. Domestic, let's be honest.
You're not saying he was the father in Full House?
I'm not. I'm
Danny
saying that
Tanner?
family seemed quite, disconnected by the end. I watched the documentary.
I mean, like, his kids have been fine.
They've been fine, but he didn't seem like he definitely got like a pretty nasty divorce. That's what I'm saying.
The divorce was nasty for sure.
Yeah, and also too, and we saw The Last Dance. The guy was out till 4 a.m. gambling every night. He wasn't home reading bedtime stories.
Look, that's when he's on the road. Okay, I don't know what he was like at home.
He was in some back room gambling,
pitching quarters with the security guards,
right, with strangers, not hanging out with Jeffrey and Marcus.
No, you're right. That's unfair to say. His sons have seem like great guys. That's totally unfair. But I mean,
It'd just be funny if, like, all of a sudden he's reading a bedtime story, but you pan out and it's actually like a poker room. He's like, here, you sleep over here on these chairs covered with a shirt.
Look, Mike, he was in Space Jam. He had a lot of money. He could have had, stunt doubles reading bedtime stories while he was somewhere else. Like the whole time we just thought it was Mike, and it was just some black bald dude.
It was Mark. Mark's here to read your bedtime story.
Meanwhile, LeBron's the opposite. LeBron will probably blow off Game 4 of the finals to watch Bronny in a practice. I relate to LeBron's a full-time sports dad in every possible way, sitting on his couch. He gave his all for the in-season tournament, so now he can relax and enjoy the NFL
and by the
playoffs.
way, on the in-season tournament thing, to swing it back to Mike, I'm now standing 10 toes down. Mike would have went so hard for in-season tournament. He gets $500,000 in a night in Vegas. What do you think he's doing? He's going so hard.
That money's gone the next day. What's the difference?
But he says he doesn't have a problem.
You don't have a problem if you have the money.
Yeah.
Final buzzer hits. He's at the blackjack table within 20 minutes.
Actually, wouldn't it be great if Michael Jordan is actually able to play hands of blackjack in between quarters?
Or you find him at the table, still in his uniform, trophies on his hip, paid in markers and chips, and he's just sitting there.
By the end of the night, he's just hocking off his Jordans. He's like, yo, here's some 13s that are signed.
He's
Let me
not
get back
betting
at the
33
table.
on red.
Let me get to Draymond quickly because he, like the part-time car salesman that he is, swung around and smacked Yusuf Nurkic in the face last night in Phoenix. Now, if you remember when Draymond choked Rudy Gobert, at least Perloff criticized the Timberwolves for not coming to Gobert's defense. Devin Booker, happy, no son, retaliated last night.
Any retaliation is always the worst thing in that scenario. Missing games for your team, and it's a big fine too. So no punch or retaliation is worth those.
Mm-hmm. I disagree with that.
I know.
I just said because Devin Booker, one of my favorite players in the NBA, he needs to be very serious about load management for the playoffs. Perfect way to get some games off. Throw a punch, 5 games suspended, no questions from the NBA. Rest that dude till June.
But what if he breaks a hand?
You're right. Don't throw a punch.
Yeah.
Maybe kick a guy in the junk.
I think you got to go John Morant on this thing, Wave a couple guns around on Instagram Live. You get yourself a 25-game vacation.
It's risky, though. If you do that in the spring and you get 25 games, you might miss the first round. But I like where your head's at, Maggie.
Booker had 32
just
last
thinking
night
outside the box.
in this 119-116 win over the Warriors. NFL owners are meeting again today in Dallas discussing business issues like future international games. Brazil could be picked to host a game next season as soon as today. And the NHL all geeked up for last night's Battle of the Connors. Bedard against McDavid in Edmonton. Perloff's adopted son had the better start.
Classic headman pass. Connor Bedard over the line. Shoots. He scores from the left wing circle. Connor Bedard angling down toward the Oiler net. Put the puck under the stick of the defenseman and snapped it into the top right corner past Skinner.
So the goal was like, it sounds, the dude in your basketball games that's better than everybody just messing with you guys. And this is Bedard at 18 doing it to NHL men.
I mean, this guy's meeting the hype.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they
Also,
lost last night.
It's weird. It's funny. It's like we have a showdown. Connor versus Connor.
Connors,
I'm like, was
battle of
Sean
the
versus
Connors.
Sean not available?
There was also a third Connor in that game last night. It was very 2023.
We go through cycles with names. We name our kids. Like when I was, everyone who I grew up with, it's a million Seans. That must have been the name of the early middle 80s.
Yeah, I had a lot of Jennifers growing up.
Yeah.
There's 2 Connor McGoverns in the NFL. Like Connor is a ubiquitous name.
Connor got very popular apparently.
So that was a goal by Bedard, but Chicago lost in Edmonton 4-1. Connor McDavid had 2 assists. I think they've won now 8 in a row, those red-hot Oilers. Back to you guys.
I mean, the biggest one is Jalen's. And Jalen Rose claims he's the first Jalen ever.
Well, and then there's 2 Jalen Williams on the Thunder, right?
Yes.
Spelled differently?
There are a lot of
Spelled
Shaqs. There are a lot of Shaquilles.
Yeah.
Now there are.
A few Kobes, too.
I'm seeing Kobe, yeah.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant on the Seahawks, right? Or formerly of the Seahawks.
Spelled a different way, though.
Yeah, good point.
We've got to have LeBron somewhere, right? Is there like a good 8th grader named LeBron by now?
Yeah, that's a great point.
LeBron, that's a tough name to give your kid.
so unique.
I know a guy, his last name is legally LeBron.
His last name.
His last name is LeBron.
I feel like you're putting a tough expectation on your kid if you have basketball operations. Oh, here's LeBron. He's like
Well, actually, we do have another LeBron. It's Bronny.
Yeah.
It's LeBron Jr.
But just generally, LeBron is, I would not put that on my kid.
Yeah, but there's people out there who name their kids Steele and King and Adonis.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of putting some
Or
expectations.
God's gift. What was his last name for St. John's?
Oh, God gives a Chua.
Yes.
Yeah. LeBron
And
is a very
Precious was his brother.
specific, though. Guy, Steel or Strong.
Yeah.
I think LeBron is very specific. Like, if you can't hoop and your name is LeBron, that's bad. My accountant, you can't become an accountant.
Can you name Shaq and be an accountant?
I don't know, but if you're actually LeBron, your clients say, "Oh, I have the LeBron of accounting."
Oh no!
The LeBron of feet.
Remember, LeBron said he's going to the LeBron of doctors.
Yeah, but that guy was not named LeBron.
No, he was some German dude spinning blood platelets.
We have the Italian stallion of agents.
That's true.
So
Tommy Cutlet's agent is
There
the
you go.
Italian stallion. By the way, he was like on the radio yesterday and like doing all these rounds and like the most normal sounding person. He's like, I'm just here for my clients.
Yeah, disappointing.
Yeah. It was like he just is dressing the part. When you get to him, it's like, all right, I guess this guy could negotiate my contract. I see now why he has clients.
And apparently he was a college football player, not at a high level, but he played
Marist.
college football.
Yep. I know too much about this guy now.
I know.
855. Thank you, Bogish. 855-212-4CBS. Are you allegedly going to jury duty now?
Allegedly.
Sure. Somehow you were able to watch Rodgers on Pat McAfee from your couch yesterday, but you're doing jury duty. Okay. Sure.
He was getting us all the updates. It's like, you guys can't believe what Rodgers just said. I'm like, well, aren't you in jury duty, sir?
Yeah. You're texting us from there.
All right. Don't get me in trouble.
855-212-4CBS. Bogish is going to stick around. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
And now, this actually was my pick when we did the Great Debate Series Best Sports Anthem. Today is Worst Sports Contracts because it is Wednesday, yes.
And I still don't know that this song is anything other than the Bulls' introductory music. I just assumed it was made for them. What is it?
It's called Sirius, and it's by the Alan Parsons Project.
Good for them.
Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. I can only imagine what today is. Something stupid I said. Here we go.
I sell calls with my arms.
I settle calls with... I don't know what he's saying at the end. It sounds like a tough guy.
No. I think he's saying sell cars. And it's like those things that are outside the car dealership that have the wind thing on it. That's what he looked like.
I thought he was saying he sells calls. So he says like they were tangled. So I sell calls with my arms.
Wait,
I like Maggie's theory better.
Yeah,
Wait, I
can we make it be that?
She was so confident. Yeah, she's one of those things that blows in the wind.
Draymond Green is Gumby now.
Yeah, I love it.
I came in so confident. I was so sure that was it.
Look at our low rates. Don't suspend me.
Yours is better. Look, don't let it go unnoticed that Perloff immediately agreed with you. That's a partner. He was like, yeah, that's what he said. I get it now.
Not hesitate.
Not even a little bit. He was all in. And you're still, Maggie, I know you're embarrassed by it. You're not that wrong. It sounded like it, and it was plausible based on watching him act like that last night.
EJ came in his voice for reasons like, I think he said sell calls. But
I spoke so slowly because I was unsure because I was like, wow, maybe I'm off on this.
Yeah, he had the question mark like he was Ron Burgundy reading off a teleprompter. He's like, I think he sells calls.
Carlos, what'd you say? Low rates? Oh my gosh. Oakley dokley-o, I'm an idiot. So that's all we have time for
we'll
today.
See you tomorrow.
And that was a show.
Today's show brought to you by the Ford Taurus. Lease now for $39 a month.
That whole segment.
Draymond Green Kia. Right outside San Francisco.
Get on down to Draymond Ford Mazda. All right. Well, thank you to EJ Stewart. And thank you to Carlos Ortiz. Thank you to Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, coffee drinkers, and callers. What would we do without you? See you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.